On Sports 1440.
It's a huge play. Now the Eagles get it back. We're going to run some block, or maybe slow the down.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
For the second time, the Vince Lombardi Trophy is headed to Philadelphia. Eagles fly in Super Bowl 59.
What a magnificent Monday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the lovely province of Alberta at PlayAlberta.ca. Hope you are having a great weekend. If you're an Eagles fan, oh my goodness, you must be in a very good mood. Like, I'm trying to remember the last Super Bowl that from start to finish, even when the Chiefs lost to the Bucs, it wasn't that much of a butt kicking. That was from start to finish domination by the Eagles. I know there was some late points by the Chiefs to make it look a lot better than it was, but it wasn't very good. And to me, the most impressive statistic of the whole game was that the Eagles' defense did not blitz once and still got that much pressure. Their front four, they could have easily been the MVP. They were outstanding. Constant pressure. The O-line of the Chiefs there's 5 O-linemen, there's 4, and they couldn't stop him. Connor, ever. Like, it was constant pressure. Mahomes was running for his life far too often. It was mind-blowing to me. Like, it was, you just saw, geez, they're blitzing a lot. And then you're like, no, they're not. It's the same 4 guys, and they're just overpowering them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a perfect game plan. It was like Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, saw what happened when the Bucs beat the Chiefs and said, oh, let's just go do that. Let's rush 4, get there, and have our coverage team not have any major mistakes. Try not to get beat over the top, and they executed to perfection. Josh Sweat was an absolute animal. I know Milton Williams got some action too, a couple sacks, but the front 4 gets a lot of credit, but I give a lot of credit to that secondary as well, like locking on their targets, not getting beat over the top, taking away those quick throws, and then forcing Mahomes, to have pressure. Even some of the throws where they were, underneath, like 8-yard passes, he was just getting hit as he's throwing the football. So full credit to the Philadelphia Eagles. I said they win by 7. I mean, it was an 18-point spread or cover here, but they should have won by a lot more. The Chiefs were putting up points on the Eagles' backups at the end of the game. Just a dominant performance. And if you're thinking for one comparable, I got to say Seahawks-Broncos in New York. The Seahawks won like 40-something to 8. It was just a beatdown. We haven't seen one like this in a long time.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's good. It's been a while, though.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Been a while for sure. So kudos to the Eagles as they deserve the win. No question about it. As I said before the game, I didn't think rest would be a factor. I know everyone freaked out on the one play. Thing was, if you complained about the offensive pass interference on Brown, guess what? It was evened up the next series against the Eagles. So the refs were a non-factor in the game, and the Eagles were simply the better team. Better team defensive line, better team offensive line, better team at quarterback, better team at linebacker, better team in secondary. They're the better team. Just full stop. I can't think of a position that the Eagles weren't the better team, and were full marks for their victory. And I know Philadelphia partying into the night. Now, I haven't seen any, you know what? You're always going to have the odd idiot But I didn't see cons. Now, granted, I wasn't searching for it a lot, but I didn't see lots of stories of hooliganism or anything like that. So maybe overall a pretty normal reaction to winning a championship, or did I miss it?
Well, I mean, I guess you'd have to. How do we describe normal? There was, I think, some fireworks being set off. I saw.
Yeah, but any major damage?
A Kermit being burned, but yeah, nothing major. Just probably what you'd expect from Philly fans.
Whoa. A Kermit, like Kermit the Frog?
Yeah. Well, you know how.
So that's your level of high danger. Someone burnt a stuffy.
Well, you know, it's significant. It signifies Patrick Mahomes. But no, hey, I think all in all, pretty good. Eagles fans. Was it last year someone ate or their last Super Bowl win, someone ate some horse droppings from one of the police horses? So
come on.
Yeah, not this time around. People have learned. Just good fun, I think. Wholesome.
That is that can't be good.
No, it's disgusting.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you didn't know?
No.
Let me confirm that.
Come on.
Yeah, you can watch the video of it.
Now, why would I want to watch a video of that? You can watch a video of some human being eating horse dung. Like, what?
The headline: Eagles fan stoops to new low, even for Philly. Yeah, it was. I didn't see any of that happening this year, so
yeah,
you can celebrate that.
Yeah. So, well, we'll see. The Chiefs, so you know what? They'll have to make some moves. There's no question about it. As you talked about it before the game, you said, yeah, you know, their offensive line was susceptible and it got exposed big time.
That was it. And it's very similar to what happened, like we said, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when Brady won there. And Brady's pretty good himself, but the Bucs defense was really the story of that show. And that led to the Kansas City Chiefs kind of overhauling that offensive line, drafting Creed Humphrey, spending a little more money to bring players in. Mahomes just didn't have the time. I think Joe Thuney was brought up by one of our guests last week, a guard playing tackle. I mean, that he's going to be targeted, and he was just overmatched in that game. So, yeah, it was a full credit to the Eagles' defensive line, and it just tells you, like, Howie Roseman, their general manager, has done such a good job. They don't really lose any big name players. They got their core set up. Obviously, a couple guys going to test free agency and probably cash in, but they've built that team from the O-line out, and it looks great.
Yeah. So now the Eagles, how many big name free agents they got?
Not
many.
It's Sweat, who had a really good game, and I believe was it Milton, the other defensive lineman?
But nothing.
Ryan Braun,
not many.
Not many. No, I mean, obviously Jalen's locked in, Saquon, AJ Brown, Devontae, their offensive line. And I think they at this point $25 million. So they spend wisely, draft a few big players. Like they've been knocking their drafts out of the park with Roseman. I mean, they're set up pretty good for a long time, I would think.
Yeah. So 833-401-1440. We got lots to discuss. Super Bowl. Also, the Oilers lose their final game before the Four Nations break against the Colorado Avalanche. 2 goals in the first period that Stu Skinner obviously wants back. I don't think there's any question about that. And those were not from, major breakdowns or anything, especially the Makar goal. The Makar goal has got to stop. Like you saw his reaction right away. He loved it. The thing was, he actually made 2 good saves to start the game, then let in those 2 atrocious goals, then actually made 2 other big saves in the first. I kind of thought the coach would stick with him, see if he'd fight back. Coach said nope. And, that might be a bit or more of a, hey, too many goals allowed in the first period by you. So, get focused. It's a gutsy call to do it when you got 2 weeks to stew on it. No pun intended, but he doesn't play now until the 22nd. If he plays in the 22nd, they play back to back. So there's Philly and Washington, and you can make the argument you should save Skinner for the Washington game if you like. We'll see, but it needs to be better there. It was a game. It was kind of rare when you look. There was 4 superstars in the game, and Draisaitl, Makar, and McKinnon clearly were the 3 best. It wasn't a great night for McDavid, -3, no points. McDavid goes to Four Nations now. Him and McKinnon not starting on the same line. McKinnon's going to start with Crosby. McDavid's going to go with Reinhart and Mitch Marner. Not a bad line, but you can make the argument that at times in the regular season, McDavid has a better line mate than he'll have at the Four Nations because that Leon Draisaitl guy is pretty good. Leon Draisaitl, for the 6th time in his career, has 40 goals. Joins Matthews, who's done it 6 times, Stamkos, who's done it 7, and Ovechkin's done it 13 amongst active players. And here's the thing, only 5 players in NHL history have scored 40 goals in 7 consecutive seasons. And Leon Draisaitl had 3. Then the shortened season of 56 games came due to COVID. He scored 31 and 46, which put him well on pace to score 40, and then he scored 40 every year since. Like Leon Draisaitl, I think, as great as he is, still probably gets underappreciated for just how great he is because he plays in the same team as McDavid. But now McDavid doesn't have 640-goal seasons. McDavid's not going to have 450-goal seasons. He's only got one. Not going to get it this year. Draisaitl's, I'm pretty confident he's going to score 10 goals in the final 27 games of the year. So that'll give him 450-goal seasons. And not only 450-goal seasons, but 450 goals and 50 assist season. Those are rare because there's not a lot of guys that do it. And, Ovechkin never did it. Now I go down the list. I think there's 11 guys who have done it 4 times. So, or maybe 9. It's a pretty impressive list all time. But Leon Draisaitl, another really good game for the Edmonton Oilers. Like that goal where he danced around McKinnon, then takes a shot and kind of as his momentum takes him down to his knees, he gets the rebound up and still gets it from his knees over top of Blackwood. And I look at how dominant he's been to the first 2/3 of the season. And that's pretty much where you're at, right? There's 27 games left for the Oilers, 82-game season. Say there's a third left. And I think Leon Draisaitl just continues to have a great year. Now, will the rest hurt him or benefit him? I don't see how it can hurt him long-term. Right? Maybe there's a little bit of rust the first game back. I don't know. But the majority of the league isn't playing. Right? You got 4 teams. That's it. No Russians are playing. No Europeans other than Finns and Swedes, excuse me. And then you've got Canadians and Americans, and obviously there's only 23 guys in each roster. So, there's going to be a vast majority of the league is going to be in the same boat, but I think that could help him. But man, Leon Draisaitl's year just continues to be impressive. For me right now, he's a leader in the Hart. Like he's got twice as many goals, well, just under 40 goals to 21 for McKinnon. To me, that's the difference in the Hart. Then you throw in the goals, 4 goals against at 5-on-5 and all of his underlying numbers. But to me, that's where I would separate it. That is a big, big difference. Coming up on the program today, we got a really good show for you. Bryan Deardo will join us once again. I'll recap the Super Bowl. We'll look at some off-season moves. Hey, Aaron Rodgers, shocker, not going back to the Jets. Like there was no way they could bring that guy. So here's my question, Cons. Does another team sign him?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Who?
Oh, the Vegas Raiders.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, they seem like a desperate team. Maybe Tom Brady has faith in them. I think one team will give him another shot.
How much do you think he gets paid, though?
Really good question. Can't be elite money, I don't think, at this point. And I mean, hey, maybe he's into different things. Maybe he doesn't even want elite money. Maybe he just wants a chance to play. He's made a ton in his career.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not paying him top 10 money anymore.
Maybe you should go to Cleveland. Sorry, bro.
Maybe they'll redo Watson's contract again and create some more space.
Like, let's look at the AFC. The Bills aren't taking the Dolphins, Patriots, no. Ravens, of course not. Bengals, no. Steelers, I wouldn't think so. So that leaves the Browns. Then there's the Texans, no. The Jaguars, I can't see it. The Titans,
number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Colts,
no.
Broncos, no. Chiefs, no. Chargers, no. So really the Raiders and the Browns, let's say. And then you got the Cowboys, no. Eagles, definitely not. Commanders, no chance. Bears, Lions, Packers, Vikings, no. So the Giants, I guess, maybe. Does he go from one New York to the other, though? Like, they're sitting right there. They've seen the drama every day. Falcons, I wouldn't think so. Buccaneers, nope. Cardinals, no. Rams, no. 49ers, I don't think so. Seahawks, no. So I guess there's the Saints. Maybe.
Yeah.
Panthers, they kind of, you know what? They gave their young guy an opportunity down the stretch, played pretty well, so I wouldn't think so. Like, there's only maybe 5 teams if you look at it.
Yeah, not a big market out there.
I'll be curious to see. I agree with you. Someone is going to do it, and the Raiders might. I just, is he worth the headache at this stage? Because his production says no. You're not signing Aaron Rodgers, the dominant quarterback, for most of his career. That's not who you're signing now. But you still get the headache, but you don't get the production. So is it worth it? That'll be the question. Is it worth it? Hey, Gregor, what are your thoughts on the Ryan Donato rumors from Rockford? Well, here's the thing about Ryan Donato. I look at the Edmonton Oilers, and they desperately need a top 6 scorer. No question in my mind, right? Is Ryan Donato a top 6 scorer? He has never scored 20 goals. Now, he's having an unreal year in Chicago this year. Good for him. Ryan Donato's not physical. He's not a burner. So is he going to help you in playoffs? All right, he's got no goals in 19 playoff games. So that's like, I get there's a need. Hey, you know what? You want to increase your production from your top 6. I understand. But Ryan Donato, to me, I don't know. I think Chicago's probably going to get more for him because he's having a great year. But if I look at his career, I'm not sold that Ryan Donato is going to be a difference maker on my team come playoff time. Right? 19 playoff games, no goals. So, that's a little bit of a concern for me, for sure. He is having he's got 16 5-on-5 goals already this year, right? 19 overall. So he's been doing most of his work 5-on-5, which is where the Oilers could use some help, right? So I get the interest level. Would I take a flyer on him? Maybe, right? He's only played like 198 minutes with Connor Bedard, so you can't even say that he's really working with him. He's played more down the lineup, and he's gotten great production down the lineup. So the other thing is I got to look at his puck IQ numbers and find out who he's playing against. Because if he's producing, but he's not playing against top end guys, well, then you're going to bring him in, and then you're going to ask him to produce against top end guys. I don't think that's a great idea. So I got to look to see. He's played about 32% of his time against elite, and he's been on the ice for a total of 5 goals against elite. Now, that's not his own production. That's just on-ice production. So that's a pretty big red flag for me. So, Rockford, if you're asking my opinion on it, I would pass. I would pass. So, there you go. Good question. I thought that was come up today. So, there we go. We got Gene Principe. We got Noah Philp is going to join us. He played his first game since being sent back to Bakersfield on Saturday. Had himself a heck of a game. So we'll just talk to him about what he learned in the NHL, and let this little 2-week break for him down in the American League, and how he can use to get back to the NHL. Speck and Woodley will be by. 2-minute warning with Tater, Gene Principe, Sean Brown on a busy Monday edition of the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hey, did you know you can get a free drink today?
Nice. I love free drinks.
Yeah, Booster Juice called your name today on the Booster Rewards app. So you get a free smoothie, booster mixer, or fresh juice.
Well then, why are we still sitting here just talking about it?
Watch for your name on the Booster Rewards app and social media. 2 names every day, all February long. Must be a Booster Rewards app member. For complete details, visit boosterjuice.com.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks.
We could very
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day
and
till 2 a.m.
it very clear.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need, Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Is it Riverside Motorsports?
No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong.
Guess it's time to get it right.
Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
I'm Rick Showers from Noble RV. And over the years, I've noticed something. New RV stores tend to treat the used RV customer as kind of a second-class citizen, not as important as the customer buying new. Heck, that even extends to the way they treat the used RV staff. And I ought to know.
You learned the business in the used department at a new RV store, right, Rick?
That's right, Bob. But I always loved used RVs. They're all one of a kind. I drove a used car as well. Used is always a better value than new. Come to think of it, I drive a used truck now.
Sounds like buying used means getting the most value for every dollar spent.
That's it exactly, Bob. A new RV is worth a lot less the second you roll it off the lot. Our customers benefit from that correction in value, which makes them smarter. So we treat you like a VIP because every customer and every staff member knows our used RVs are better than new.
And that's Noble.
NobleRV.ca.
Don't wanna wait till you know me better.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.223. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. The Gregor Show. Of course, also play at sports1440.ca, anywhere where you get the app for iHeartRadio, Radio Player, or the Stingray app. So thanks for listening and watching. Of course, the big hockey news this week is the Four Nations as teams practice today. They'll practice again tomorrow. Canada and Sweden play Wednesday. U.S. and Finland play Thursday. Then all four teams will play Saturday. And then again, all four teams will play next Monday, which is a holiday in both, not I guess across the country in Canada, but a lot of places in Canada. Family Day here in Alberta for sure. So don't worry. Many of you, hopefully you get some family time and aren't working. And then they'll have the day off in the U.S. And then, of course, the final will be next Thursday. And a lot of people think it's going to be Canada-U.S. We'll see. Let's go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. As you stop in right now, and the showdown, and it's getting even better because Canada-U.S. Matthews, McDavid on opposite teams, and I think most of our audience is if they had to choose, they would have the Big Mac David over the quarter pounder happy. I would think. Also, you can try the triple cheeseburger, or Maybe you haven't tried it, but the poutine fries, very good right now at McDonald's. As we welcome in host on Orders TV, Gene Principe. Gino, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I was just listening to Lick It Up there by Kiss, and I remember interviewing Gene Simmons when Edmonton had the IndyCar.
Yes.
And he was like the, what do you call him, kind of like Grand Marshal, or wave the starters flag. And I remember meeting him at the airport, and I think he was in his heyday there with Shannon Tweed. They had their that documentary show or reality TV series, and it was kind of one of those moments. If it was nowadays, it probably would go viral just because it's Gene Simmons. I never did get a photo with him, but one of the more memorable moments in my somewhat mediocre career anyways.
Gino, are you working any of the Four Nations games?
I am not doing anything.
Oh, does he get a break?
It's quite nice. I know I've had a number of people ask me, where are you going? Where are you going? I'm like, Northside Edmonton. Yeah. I'm not doing anything. I don't like to fly. And of course people say, well, why do you have the job that you have? Because that's my only choice. So when I get a chance to stay home, I'm happy to stay home. Now, when I see people, including my bureau chief, Corey Blashill, posting this gorgeous photo of the pool and the beach and in Mexico, then yeah, for sure. You're like, hey, for half a day of travel or whatever, and you get somewhere beautiful and warm. But no, I get to stay home. I get to coach my daughter's soccer team, which I often miss in the winter. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a break. And you know what, Jason, I'm looking forward to being a fan and just watching it on Sportsnet.
Yeah. You look at the Oilers, Gene, and they kind of limped into the break a little bit. They did get some big wins in Chicago and St. Louis, not playing their best hockey, and against Colorado, kind of a rough first period. And they were right in the game. It's close. They didn't get blown up by any stretch of the imagination, but Stu Skinner had a few goals he would want back, no question in my mind, and his, and obviously the head coach. What'd you make of Knobloch's decision?
Yeah, he made that, and even Chris alluded to it. Stewart made a great save late in the period, and I think a few people thought, okay, that might have saved him from getting pulled from the game, but there was Calvin Pickard, and Calvin's been awesome. So this isn't a big, like, oh my gosh, he's the backup, with asterisks around it. Calvin's having a wonderful year. So, and Stewart might not have been feeling great too. As you know, many of the Oilers weren't feeling too well over the last, I would say, couple of weeks. Chris is the most subtle. I don't know. He delivers. He makes things happen that other coaches would not boast about. I don't even know the right term. He's just a soft-spoken guy, and it seems like his line changes and benching of players and his goalie pulls are also done in a soft manner. I don't know if that's possible, but it seems like that. And yet, he always, one of the things I like about Chris is he may make decisions that make a player not look bad, but make a player look like they're not having their top performance, which, as you said, Stewart would likely say that it wasn't his quote unquote best game, but he always backs them up. And I like that. It's kind of like, I don't know if you ground your kids or I don't know if people send them to their rooms, whatever form of discipline that you apply to your kids. But at the same time, you tell them, hey, listen, I love you, but you can't get ice cream for a week or, and I just like the way he does that. Like he kind of makes decisions that would not make a player happy per se, but at the same time, he's got their back and says that they have been playing great, that they can do better. So I like the way he handles that. It's a tough job. I coach my daughter's team, and for any, I mean, it's hard to apply the same rules to everybody. I don't care what level you're at. You can do it, but it doesn't mean it's easy. And doing it isn't easy, and sometimes you don't. And I just like the way, and we all know how he sat Leon for a couple of shifts, which seems like 100 years ago, but earlier in the season or and look at Leon, right? So I think Chris has done a wonderful job as head coach of the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah. Well, he's not afraid to make a tough decision. So I don't have an issue with it. Sometimes he'll give guys the opportunity to fight back. And so, the fact that it was a heading into a 2-week break, I think is one where there's a little bit more of a message there to say, hey, we need you to be better in the first period, because that's where the majority of the Oilers goals against, and even on Skinner, have come from. You look at Edmonton, and how would you rate the need for a top 6 winger?
Well, you know what? He's living in Edmonton, and who knows what he's doing right now. That's Evander Kane. They definitely do. It's funny. I've kind of gone back to enjoying Ryan Nugent-Hopkins at center. I thought that was done, and I don't know. I look at the almost any team, but I think of the Penguins with Crosby, Malkin, and Stahl when they won some Stanley Cups, a couple Stanley Cups, and I think, I don't know, Nugent was kind of, to me, he'd become a winger. Like, I kind of just thought, oh, he's a winger, but now I like him at center, and he seems to have dug into that role when necessary, which opens up a spot in the top 6. Jeff Skinner's been, you talk about hard decisions and then giving guys chances. Jeff Skinner's been that guy. I don't know if Jeff would be in your top 6 all the time, but for sure that is, the Oilers are, whatever they think they need, they're going to go out and get somehow, some way. I remember when Jeff Jackson was hired and he said, I'm ready. Like, I'm here to win the Stanley Cup now. And that was before last season. And they almost did it. And if, I think if you ask him and Stan Bowman when they want to win the Stanley Cup, it's now, but it's legitimately now because they have the team to do it. So I could see them going out. I'm curious to see John Klingberg, and I know you had some great information on him and how he's skating with the Oil Kings. And while so many guys would be off to a vacation somewhere or just to get out of town for a little bit, he's here. So for sure, top 6. I think when we're back, Jason, that Evander will start, when they come back from that road trip, you're into March. So now we're talking deadlines a few days after that. We're starting to look at possible playoff implications. Are they going to finish first, or they're into the last 5 weeks of the season? So I'll be curious at that point, what a role of it, like, is he going to start skating lightly every day or 2 times a week, or where's he at? So I think his future will help determine how hard the Oilers have to go after this top 6 winger by March 7th.
Well, Kane's not playing in the regular season, and the Oilers pretty much said that.
Right.
And so to me, I don't think they can plan on Evander Kane being a top 6 forward ever having a year off. Right. If I would have him plans as a bottom 6 forward, and if he plays well, then that's a bonus. And then you've got an excess of top 6 guys. But when outside of Zach Hyman, like, I wrote an article today on Victor Arvidsson's numbers, and I was surprised at how bad they are compared to his career numbers. And then obviously, Podkolzin, we like everything, but there's no winger giving them any sort of production other than Hyman. And I think that becomes, I know they score lots as a team because they got Draisaitl and McDavid, but I think at some point you're going to need another guy in your top 6 who can rely on and say, hey, we think in the playoffs, this guy's going to be worth 7 or 8 goals.
Yeah, and that's what they're going to, they're definitely going to need that. And I feel like Arvidsson has come on over the last, I'm not going to say a month, but maybe 10 days to 2 weeks. I feel like he's been better. I'll be curious to see, what he looks like in the Four Nations face-off, and whether he comes back and continues to sort of build off that, because he is a guy that has had, reasonably good career when he's been healthy, and he has been, knock on wood, after that somewhat mysterious situation that went from, days to games to weeks to, well, not months, but quite a long time. So for sure, they're out there looking for that top 6 winger. I'm a little more thinking that Evander could jump into the top 6 only because of his experience, but my mind might change if, when everyone's back and they say that, and I agree with you, he's not playing until probably mid-April. But I think he could do it and jump back into a top six. And I know some might hesitate, but I would take the approach, especially obviously if you don't hit the kind of home run you need by March 7th, that I would start him in my top six and work his way down, as opposed to starting in my bottom six and working his way up. Plus, I would say too, Jason, I think in the playoffs, your third line, let's say you've got Jan, I'm just going to, spitball here, but let's say it's Nugent Hopkins, Kane, and Janmark. I mean, that's not necessarily a third line. That could be like a second line. So I'll wait to see what Stan Bowman does. But for sure, Oilers are going to be loading up here. This team's going to finish likely top of their division, likely in the top, probably 5 in the NHL. I mean, this is a heavy favorite to win one more game than they did last spring and summer. So we wait to see.
Yeah, well, Stan Bowman definitely has an opportunity here. He's got a lot of cap space, something they really haven't had in the past, and still were able to make moves. So I'll be curious to see what he does in that regard. Quickly, give me your thoughts at Four Nations, Gino. Do you want to see McDavid and McKinnon 5-on-5, and do you think we will?
Yes and yes. I mean, I just can't see, the coach kind of hanging that. John Cooper, he knows what he's doing. I think you'd have to. You might not start with those guys on the same line. I'm trying to think. It was Reinhart and Marner, I think, correct, with McDavid today. But for sure, I think you would be to see those two guys with rockets for skating ability, not on the same line. I mean, you're depriving your team and maybe the fans of getting an unbelievable thrill. It would have been, and listen, I'm not going to say that Nathan and Connor are Lemieux and Gretzky, okay, but maybe you might say Crosby is the Mario to Connor's Gretzky or whatever. But I think for sure you'll see them together, and I hope it's sooner rather than later, because I wouldn't want to be a defenseman trying to slow those two down. And I think it's just exciting to see. I know there aren't more countries, and it would be kind of nice to have had more available, but for 4 of the world's top hockey countries to put together their best, I'm curious to see Ekholm too against McDavid. And, Matthias is a very competitive guy. So it'll be kind of neat to see some of these teammates go against each other and some combinations that we hope to see in a year's time at the Olympics.
Well, yeah. Well, the Olympics, of course, Draisaitl and not Kucherov, but Draisaitl and, a few of the others will be involved, which would be nice. And, we'll see. I hope that they do the Four Nations and call it something else, Canada Cup, USA World Cup, whatever they call it, but they just go back to having it in September in the future, not during the season.
Yeah. I love that idea of having it in September. That was almost, some of the greatest hockey, some great iconic moments. And to put it as a preview to a season, I think would be wonderful. So I'm with you on that.
Gino, have yourself a great rest. And we will chat with you next week at practice.
Yeah, Jay, don't work too hard. We'll see you soon.
There you go. That's Gene Principe from Rogers Sportsnet. We got a lot of text people coming in about Ryan Donato. We'll break it down, but I don't see a lot of reasons why. Like, the Oilers need a top 6 winger. Ryan Donato is not a top 6 winger. He doesn't play enough against top players. And if you actually look at his career, courtesy of Puck IQ, it's not very good against top guys. So because if he's coming here, that's where he's going to play. Right? Now, I know that this series got the second most hits of his career. Great. The Hawks barely have the puck, so that's part of it. But Ryan Donato, I've watched him for years. He is not a physical player. That's not his calling card. So I'm not going to ask someone to be what they're not. So the Oilers, to me, when I think physical player, I think Trent Frederick. That's a physical player. Ryan Donato, he's very skilled. He can score you some goals for you. But even Donato's been playing mainly as a bottom six guy. Like, he's only played 200 minutes. Like, he's played less than, I think he's played about 30% of his minutes in Chicago with Bedard. So Bedard usually gets the top matchups, and then he doesn't get them, which is great. But I think anybody who's trading for Donato, you're trading for him to help out in your bottom six. And right now the Oilers, like, they have a glut of bottom six wingers. I don't think they need more bottom six wingers. They need a top six winger. So getting more kind of bottom six guys, I don't think solves the problem in Edmonton. So I wouldn't have much interest in Ryan Donato if I was the Oilers. Quick break. We'll return. We got Cam Tate coming up later on. We got Bryan Deardo. We'll talk NFL. The offseason is always interesting. The NFL does a fantastic job of keeping their name relevant all year long. They always find ways to do it. The NFL draft we'll get to, but we will talk about an absolute dominant performance by the Philadelphia Eagles. And to me, the best performance was from their defensive line. To get that much pressure and never blitz. It's amazing performance by the Eagles front four. It was great. Quick break. We'll return to the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit PlayAlberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Getting your vehicle sparkling clean doesn't have to cost a fortune. Take it into Hughes today and pay just loonies a wash.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
It's the season for love, and you're about to fall hard for the vehicle of your dreams. Presenting the outstanding 2025 XC90 from Volvo Cars Edmonton. Right now, you can lease your 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $4,600. Or finance a 2025 XC60 from 1.49% and save $1,500. All while being deeply infatuated by the newly upgraded, highly attractive body and wheel design. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101 Street Southwest.
When picking a New Year's resolution, try to avoid things you have no influence over.
Like bringing home the cup? That would be awesome.
But completely outside your control. Instead, pick something you can control, like bringing home some Wilhauk beef jerky.
That would also be awesome. But what if we brought the cup home to Canada and it was filled with Wilhauk beef jerky?
Okay, I'll allow it.
Wilhauk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win cups with salad.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Hair Aware with Dr. Vance Elliott.
Hey, Dr. Vance, does a hair transplant have to look like a hair transplant?
There's a guy at work, his is totally obvious. My goal is to give every one of my patients a full, natural-looking head of hair, so I stay up to date on the latest innovations. This is science, and more importantly, an art. I do things differently and move more hair than is normally done, resulting in a thicker look that is also more natural.
Trust a world-renowned expert in hair restoration. Book an appointment at drvanceelliott.com today.
Sometimes it feels like you work, sleep, and, well, that's about it. When you finally get a break for something different. At Edmonton's best games room, Top Shots Billiards and Ping Pong. Unwind with championship tables, a state-of-the-art golf simulator, and 15,000 feet of games and fun for all ages. Top Shots is a fully licensed bar and restaurant with dozens of flat screens. #1 for parties, for bookings for any size. Top Shots, the best thing to happen at pool since chalk. In Millwoods and at topshots.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.247. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50. And you can get into Luka Doncic if you want to get in on it. He's set to go for the Lakers, who are suddenly rolling. And we'll see. Are they a threat? Well, Doncic is really good, though. Like, he is really good. I read quite the article on the weekend about the owner of the Mavs who had wanted to, she wanted to move the team to Vegas, and they said that wouldn't happen because she wanted to build a new arena with a casino attached to it in Dallas, and they wouldn't allow that. And she was like, "Well, I'll move the team to Vegas because they'll allow me to do that." And then they said, "Well, we won't allow you to do that because the fans love it here." And then so this article is claiming that the reason that she traded Doncic was so that the fans and people would not care about the team anymore. Now, I have no idea if there's actually any truth to that, but it was a wild angle to take on the Doncic trade. Quite wild. So we'll see. Saying it's a business move with the hopes of a long-term plan to be in Vegas. So if it ever comes to fruition, then we'll have to go back and say, hey, back on, I think it was February 8th, article came out that somebody was way ahead of the curve. So we'll see. Or it's just a wild rumor. But it is, it's odd. Some people said, hey, the deal's done because of contracts and everything else. But I'm like, come on, it can't be about contracts. Like, give me a break. Like, look at how much money the NBA is making. Like, their top guys get paid. Like, they don't seem to be hurting. But you know who makes money is the NFL. And they know how to make it, man. They bring out all the big names for the Super Bowl. It's obviously a massive event in the United States. And even in Canada, you know what? If you're not a big football fan, you'll watch it for the commercials. Maybe you'll watch it for the pregame. You'll watch it for the halftime show. And maybe you'll sprinkle in a little football, or maybe you just like it because you want to host and have food. So let's get to the NFL report now, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. They are hiring HVAC installers and plumbers with a starting bonus to the right candidate, strong benefits, RRSP matching, tuition reimbursement, and more. Apply today at legacyheating.ca. And Bryan Deardo from CBS Sports joins us. And Bryan, that was pretty much domination from start to finish by the Eagles.
It was, and thanks for having me on. And kind of speaking of the Lakers that you were just discussing, the Kobe Shaq era Lakers are still now the last North American, Big Four professional sports team to three-peat after the Chiefs lost. So they still have that record now, which will stand now for 23 years. Yeah, that was dominant. I mean, that was one of the more surprising Super Bowl outcomes we've ever seen. And if it wasn't for Mahomes' late touchdown passes, that would have been the most lopsided loss by a defending champion in the Super Bowl ever. You've got to go back to 1983, the last time a Super Bowl champion came back and lost like that on the big stage. So it was, I picked the Eagles to win 27-24, but I had no idea it was going to turn out the way that it did. But yeah, it was a surprise for everybody down here in North America. But yeah, the Eagles were very deserving of their championship win. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, to me, the most impressive part of that game was their D-line. Like the defense didn't blitz once, and they got all that pressure from a four-man front continually. It was outstanding performance by their D-line.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was just reading, my colleague Jonathan Jones was at the game. He covered the game. They felt like the Eagles going into that game, they had an advantage because of the fact that the game was played on turf. They, based on reading Jonathan's article, they were the best team in the league this year in games played on turf. Specifically, that defense allowed less than 12 points per game on turf. And 2 years ago, when the Super Bowl was played on natural grass, the Eagles slipped. They were having issues specifically with their pass rush, and they felt like in this game that would be a non-factor. They'd be able to get off the ball. They'd be able to get faster. So the fact they're playing in a dome, I think the Eagles already came into this game with some mojo. And I think also, again, kind of reading Jonathan's article, is that they felt very confident coming into this game based on what happened in the Super Bowl 2 years ago when they lost 38-35 to the Chiefs. I mean, that team didn't have Jalen Carter. That team didn't have Saquon Barkley. So this team, and Jalen Hurts has obviously improved from where he was then and now. And that defense has obviously gotten a lot better. So they went in with a lot of mojo, and it carried out on the field. And as you mentioned, Jason, I mean, the fact that they didn't have to blitz one time. I mean, Mahomes is now one of 6 quarterbacks in Super Bowl history to not face a single blitz in the Super Bowl. All 6 quarterbacks have lost the game. So, yeah, I think that was obviously the story of the game, along with the fact that the Eagles did a lot of disguising and coverage. Cooper DeJean, their rookie, certainly grew up last night, and he continued to improve all year. I mean, they just have and this is like any sport, right? Hockey, doesn't matter what sport you discuss. They have a very good blend of veterans and young players that complement each other extremely well. And I think that was one of their secret sauces and why they were so successful last night.
Yeah, you look at Cooper DeJean, you're like, how did this guy drop as far as he did in the draft? It seems, like that's a great pick by the Eagles in the second round. And you wonder, you see some of the players taken ahead of him, not coming close to making the impact that he's made as a rookie. Now, maybe that's part of the system a little bit that he came into. Obviously, they had a pretty good team before, but man, he made some huge plays as a rookie all season long.
He did, and I actually talked to him before he got drafted, and one of the things that one of the reasons why he fell to the second round was because of his size and his speed, and teams weren't sure whether he was a safety or a cornerback, and he was adamant that he could play corner, right? But he did the thing that you do before the draft. Well, I'll do whatever a team needs me to do, all that stuff, but
yeah.
He wanted to play cornerback,
right.
And I think the Eagles, and he went to the right team. They have great veterans on that team. They didn't make him start right away and put him in a tough spot, and he also can contribute on special teams. That is one thing he told me last year before he got drafted was I'm not beyond playing special teams. I actually want to play special teams. So I think the Eagles saw that, and they said, hey, let's plug this guy in. Let's bring him along quickly. But I think, Jason, again, one thing, we hear this all the time, right? Guys slip in the draft and you wonder why. Well, it's size, this, that. If the guy's a playmaker, he can play, right? And DeJean is a great athlete. He was an exceptional high school basketball player. He actually told me he could beat Caitlin Clark in one-on-one. I don't agree with that, but he obviously is a great athlete, and that's transitioned to what he's done on the NFL level.
Bryan Deardo joins us. So, Bryan, you look at the Chiefs, and, when you have a big loss like that in the biggest stage, there's going to be a lot of wondering, okay, what about their team? I think it's fair to say they got to improve their offensive line, no doubt. And, they need a few more playmakers there. Like, it was a great story for their, Hunt to come off, but he didn't, he just didn't have the explosiveness, right? Like, so, obviously if Pacheco's healthy, that will help for sure. But I think they got to add a little speed to their playmakers outside of Worthy, but they got to improve their offensive line. I think that should probably be priority number one in the offseason.
I agree. And one nugget, too, maybe for viewers that haven't been to the Superdome. I've only been there one time. That was when I was in college and my team got smashed by LSU in the national championship. That is a very hard place to play when you don't have the crowd. And the Eagles had a partisan crowd last night, and I think that played a huge factor in the game, especially when the Chiefs had the ball. I think that offense, it was like, going into a boxing match with Mike Tyson, right? I mean, they just had, they were facing punches right away. So, yeah, I mean, I think that offensive line is solid, but especially interior. But yeah, tackle-wise, they need to make some adjustments. They need to get some better, right and left tackles. That since Orlando Brown left a few years ago, that's been kind of a weakness for them. They've been able to plug it mostly well until last night they got exposed. But yeah, I mean, running wise, this team was not a good running team all year. And Isaiah Pacheco coming back from that injury was never the same. Kareem Hunt was never supposed to be the long-term starter this past season. He was just supposed to kind of just save the spot for Pacheco when he came back. But so I just think, you saw this Chiefs team get exposed for what they are. I mean, they're a very good defensive team, and they just try to get by with minimal weapons on offense. But Mahomes just seems to utilize the depth that they have at the skill positions. And it worked last year. It absolutely worked last year, and they thought they could do the same thing this year. And it wasn't the case. And I think one of the biggest reasons why was Rashee Rice got hurt, early in the season. And as well as Xavier Worthy played, he couldn't make up that deficit. And, their other receivers weren't able to. I mean, Hollywood Brown getting hurt, they didn't expect that either. So I just think when Brown and Rice got hurt, that really crippled this offense. And I think, Jason, what you saw last night was the way the Eagles were rushing without blitzing and the way that they were disguising their coverage underneath. The only way the Chiefs were going to win that game was a shootout. That was it. And you saw late in the game, they were able to have some success with some deep shots. And if the Eagles would have known, or the Chiefs would have known that's the kind of game they were going to get into, they would have gone to that a lot sooner. That being said, I don't know why they waited so long down 34-0 until they decided to finally just, unload the rifle and just kind of let it go there. But yeah, there are certainly some questions they need to answer this offseason.
Looking across the league, do you think, well, I know someone's going to do it. Which team do you think signs Aaron Rodgers?
That's a great question. I don't know if he wants to keep playing. I think he's motivated by what happened with New York to show that he still has some good football left in him. He's got the ties to the Bay Area, but I don't see him going to the Niners because obviously they have Brock Purdy. The Raiders would make sense because of Pete Carroll, but I think he wants to go to a team that has more stability. I mean, Seattle would make sense, but I still think that they're tied to Geno Smith for a little longer. So I'll be completely honest with you. I think his options are pretty limited. I mean, I'll say we could say potentially Minnesota, which would be hilarious given that he would basically be following what Brett Favre did, his predecessor in Green Bay at the end of his career, where he has Packers, Jets for a year, then goes to Minnesota. They have J.J. McCarthy, but before his injury last year, you read a lot of things that he was not really impressing the Vikings, and that job was probably going to be won by Darnold anyways. So I could see him going to Minnesota. That team went to the playoffs last year, 14-3. They've got a lot of weapons. He knows Aaron Jones, his former teammate in Green Bay. They've got a lot of weapons at receiver, Justin Jefferson and all, Jordan Addison. So that's, to me, the best fit. But that might be his best fit, period. Like, if it's either that or it could be, do you go to Tennessee? Like, do you go to a team that's not good? And that's where we'll really see, Jason, how dedicated he is to continue playing, right? Like, to me, I would only go to a team that's built to win now. The Jets was kind of a risk, but it looked good on paper 2 years ago. He needs more of a sure thing if he's going to keep playing. And he needs to go somewhere where he can just throw the football and he's got a good offensive line that's going to keep him upright.
Yeah, well, that would definitely help, for sure. And you're right. If he doesn't have the willingness to want to play, then it's definitely not worth any team doing it. But I think some team will do it. Quickly, what about the draft, Brian? If you look ahead to the draft now, that's the next big thing on the schedule for the NFL, and you see the number one pick. You think they make it or do they trade it?
I think they'll keep it. I think they need the pick. So I think they'll keep it. And it's funny, Jason, we can see what articles perform the best on our website. The draft has been outperforming basically anything for weeks, even with the Super Bowl coming up and everything like that. So I'm curious to see what happens early in the first round. Where Shedeur Sanders could go potentially, but one position that's kind of weird that might surprise you, running back is really deep this year, which is funny because the running back position has kind of been more of the forgotten position, but it's made a little bit of a comeback now with Saquon Barkley. But that might affect, like, for example, Najee Harris in free agency, right? He might decide to re-sign with the Steelers because there's just, there might not be a market because teams that want to upgrade a running back are going to go in the draft. So, you seldom now see running backs taken in the first round. I think that might change. I think you'll see more running backs drafted in the first 3 rounds this year than you've seen in a very, very long time.
Ooh, spicy. All right, Bryan, thanks for this, man. We appreciate it. Enjoy some downtime.
I'll try. Thanks again. Always good to be with you.
There you go. That's Bryan Deardo from CBS Sports. And, man, like Aaron Rodgers, I know he'll get talked about, but he's kind of like a non-factor for me at this stage. If he comes back and plays well, I think it'd be a real big surprise. I think Bryan makes a fair point. Like, is his heart in it? Because I don't care what you do. If your heart's not in it, it's hard for your performance to be the best it can be. Doesn't matter what your job is. Whether it's, and I think it's probably even harder when it's in the spotlight and people are watching. But anybody out there listening, like if you loathe your job, it's hard to put in a great performance at work every day because you really don't want to be there, right? You're not committed to it. So if he doesn't want to play, then maybe he won't. But quarterback position is a difficult position. It's also one where teams are always looking for players, and something tells me, Cons, that he might get a look.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to ask yourself, like, what motivates Aaron Rodgers? Does he want to come back and prove that he could still play? I think that was what drove him last year with the Achilles, coming to come back and show that he could do it. In glimpses he did. A lot of times it didn't look so good. He's made $380 million in his career. So he doesn't need the money. Like, I'm wondering, like, if Minnesota were an option, yeah, the weapons would be there. Would he go there on a team-friendly deal, complete his Brett Favre arc? Or does he want to cash in still? It's an interesting one. And if I'm Minnesota, I don't even know if I entertain it. Like, I probably just say, well, we'll just franchise Sam Darnold. But that's going to cost you. So, yeah, it's going to be one of the fun storylines to watch this offseason.
All right. We'll see. We'll get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice, where every day in February, if you have a certain name, you'll get a free smoothie. It's that easy. Just stop in at Booster Juice today. And you want to get there every day. But if your name is Olivia or Jason, today is your day. Stop in at a Booster Juice and you will get a free smoothie. You can follow them online every day to find out if it's you. But today it's Jason and Olivia at Booster Juice.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Team Canada captain Sidney Crosby participated in the team's first practice today and told reporters afterwards he is good to go for the Four Nations face-off. Crosby worked on a line with Mark Stone and Nathan McKinnon during the session, while Sam Reinhart, Connor McDavid, and Mitch Marner form Canada's top line. Canada will get the tournament going Wednesday at 6 o'clock, taking on Sweden. In the association tonight, Los Angeles Lakers superstar Luka Doncic upgraded from questionable to probable when they take on the Utah Jazz. Doncic's much anticipated debut since last week's signing trade has been delayed due to rehabbing his left ankle strain. He last played December 25th and was planning to return before the All-Star break. Elsewhere, you got the Nuggets and Trailblazers, Kings in Dallas, Thunder host the Pelicans, Warriors taking on the Bucks, Celtics Heat, Nets, Hornets, Spurs, Wizards, and the Timberwolves head to Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by our co-host, former NHLer Sean Brown. Also, we'll be joined by Noah Philp of the Bakersfield Condors and another edition of Cam Tate's 2-Minute Warning. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthews. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
Shop like an insider with the Bricks Friends and Family Sale. Save up to 25% off sofas, love seats, matching chairs, and sectionals. When you buy more, you save more, up to an extra $1,000 off select major kitchen appliances. Plus, save up to 20% off bedroom and dining furniture. Save up to $600 off big screen TVs, and up to 25% off TV stands, fireplaces, and wall units. Sleep better with mattresses up to 40% off. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Kids getting free all season long. Can you believe it? Looking for an enjoyable and affordable family night out? The Spruce Grove Saints are excited to introduce their Kids Get In Free program. All kids 12 and under receive free admission for every Saints home game this season. Bring the entire family for action-packed junior hockey at a fraction of the cost. For more information, check out sgsaints.ca.
Every nickel that you don't pay in interest is a nickel back in your pocket. So make a 0% interest deal with your friends at St. Albert Dodge. Right now, you can drive away in Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, the 2025 Ram 1500, with 0% financing. There's a great selection, over 100 on the lot. Or if you'd like to get some cash back to pay off your credit cards and start the year fresh, they can help you with that too. Just head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
It may sound cliche, but it's true. Building something new starts with a solid foundation. At GS Construction, we're growing Edmonton subdivisions with deep utility services and infrastructure that lasts. Every new project begins with skilled people like you, building communities from the ground up. GS Construction is hiring. So if you're a foreman or a pipe layer that's looking to put your skills to work for Edmonton and area in 2025, we'd love to hear from you. Visit gsconstruction.ca and join a team that digs deep and builds stronger.
What is with the weather lately? Is it winter? Is it an early spring? It's like Mother Nature's a hockey referee that can't quite figure out what an offside or a penalty is. Napa Auto Parts has everything you need to make the right call for your vehicle. Whether it's antifreeze, washer fluid, wiper blades, or that mysterious part you swear you just replaced, Napa has you covered. Because your vehicle deserves consistency. With over 85 locations in Alberta, stop into your local Napa store or napacanada.com for all your trusted parts, tools, equipment, and automotive needs. That's Napa know-how. Diablo Boots and Canada West, the 2 best names in work, biker, and western boots. Diablo has been selling quality Canadian boots for over 60 years, from size 6E to 15EE. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Red Wing, and Dakota, when Diablo Boots has the best quality for less? Made in Winnipeg. Plus, all of Diablo boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save On Foods.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Jap Machinery. Jap is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japmachinery.com for all the details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Sean Brown with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. The Gregor Show, always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50, and you'll get a free $50 play in February. PlayAlberta.ca. Of course, they'll have the Four Nations games going on this week. You got NBA, Luka Doncic making his debut, if you're an NBA fan. With the LA Lakers and much, much more. As we welcome in Sean Brown. Brownie, how you doing?
Good to be back. Don't you wish you were gone a little longer?
Well, I heard that when I was gone, I missed a lot of the cold snaps. So it just seems like the cold snaps continued a little bit. Like it was really cold this morning. I don't know what it is now, like minus 15 or 16, which isn't ideal, but I can live with minus 15 or 16. I went outside and I had to shovel a bunch of stuff and was out there for about 45 minutes. And then once you're moving, it's not that bad. But I didn't go out there until 11, right? Yeah, like the minus 30 stuff can, pound sand to put it kindly. But yeah, it's not great.
Good refresh?
Oh, yeah. No, have you ever been to the Big Island in Hawaii?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, buddy, I love it. I've never been there before, but it's my favorite now.
It's
like there's so much to do.
Yeah.
I just like this. It's so different from all the time. So
you like the ocean? You a lot of swimming and stuff?
We went in the ocean twice. Yeah. Swam in the pool lots. My son did.
Yeah.
We did some hiking and some tours of the coffee plantations and did a helicopter tour and did zip lining. So yeah, it was great. Like the waves at the ocean we were at, like we got there at about 9 a.m. They were nice. And then by like 2 o'clock, they're almost too big where they shut the beach down. So,
oh wow.
Yeah. So they said that, waves were pretty high at this time of year. But it was fun, but you could tell by like 12:30, because my son got really good at boogie boarding. And so he could time it pretty good and go like 60, 70 yards. Cause it's so shallow. You can really walk out there a long time and then ride the wave for a way. But to get back out there, you know what? You're taking a lot of abuse from the wave. So it's getting pretty tired, but yeah, it was great. I loved it. So I'd recommend it to anybody to ever go to the Big Island.
It's just so far to go. Like when you don't like flying, that's a long.
Yeah. That is true. Like, and there's no directs from here. Like there's direct to Maui from Edmonton, but there's no direct to the Big Island. So and I know like it's only Seattle or Vancouver, but still anybody who flies, like, that stopover just adds an extra 2 hours minimum to your trip, because by the time you land and you get back up and everything else. So it's just, and that's if you get a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
So, but over, first world problems, if that's the biggest thing I had to overcome, I'm okay.
And traveling's a drag too. Like going to the airport, right? Just even going through security. Like you got to get on, like there's no sense wearing anything other than jogging pants.
Well, yeah,
right?
But what's wrong with that?
You got to take it. Well,
what do you want to wear? A suit?
No, but I mean, if you wear anything with a belt, it's just, I just, when you're going through there, you're pretty much just gearing down, right? Shoes off, belts off, everything.
Well, the shoes off is funny because it's only certain places now, right? Like, cause I had my shoes on. There was only one time. True. So
yeah,
I don't even know what the rules are anymore, but I'm a very low, like I carry on my bag, and I'm not one of those people who carries on. And now everybody's extending their carry-on bags to like being massive. Like I have a small one, like, cause I'm like, dude, I'm in Hawaii. I got a washing machine in our place.
Oh, nice.
All I need is like 3 t-shirts and 4 pairs of shorts, obviously underwear, like maybe 2 pairs of socks.
Yeah.
What else? Like, you don't even need an extra pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Because I'm just wearing sandals. It's so hot outside. Even if I go to a nice restaurant, I can have 1 collared shirt, pair of dress shorts, and I'm wearing sandals. No one looks twice. And I'm like, who cares? I'm on holidays.
That's too funny. It actually reminds me when we did the first time we went to Hawaii, I'm sitting there at the pool and I go in the water and I had a pair of Lulu pants on, and Wendy was kind of getting the kids ready. So I was down there a little bit before her, and I'm in the pool and I'm getting out, and then she's like, how was it? I'm like, oh, it's nice. I'm like, it's kind of weird. People are kind of staring at me. And I get up and I didn't realize I had ripped the seam of my shorts. So my butt
You
cracked.
were flashing everybody.
Yeah.
It's like you're wearing a thong.
I was like, oh my God. I'm like,
God.
why are these people staring at me? I had no idea. And she's like, oh my God.
You couldn't feel it?
No, I couldn't feel
How
it. But
tight are your shorts?
I don't know. You know what? When I was getting out, I must have ripped it. It was like right on the seam. So I couldn't even fix it or wear them.
The school is Strutty for the tightest shorts going, eh? Holy cow.
So it was pretty embarrassing the first day. Here I am thinking I got it. I'm like, oh man, I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
Oh,
Here, my
man.
ass is hanging out as I'm walking
Just
around the
mooning
pool.
everybody. Eh?
Bending over, getting in and out of the pool.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Hopefully they weren't calling you racing straight. That'd be the worst. Hey, quickly, I want to get your thoughts on the Knobloch decision on you pull your goalie knowing that you got a 2-week break, right? And you didn't pull him right after the 2 goals, and he actually made some good saves, but you still said, hey, enough's enough, and I'm pulling you. What'd you make of the decision?
I thought it was good. I think it was nice that it was a 2-week break, right? So it kind of gives everyone a little bit of time to get over it. But I think what he's doing is he's kind of setting guys up for success, or his team. I think that, they're obviously planning on going on a long run. There was situations where, throughout the playoffs that Stuart Skinner would get pulled, and now, Calvin Pickard, is as they get closer, it's kind of sending them a message to be like, hey, you know what? Like, things are going to start to happen now. We got to be ready at all times on the bench to go in, and you never know when you're going to go in. It was a good team that he was going in on, so it kind of gets him in that mindset. And he's kind of the expectations as you're coming down the stretch here are just becoming. He's expecting more from guys. Not only Stuart Skinner, but he made a statement there with Evan Bouchard missing a couple of shifts. So I think it's great. The accountability, I think, is important. I think that message is important for the group. It, lets everyone know it doesn't matter whether you're, those types of, your bigger players or your role players. Everyone's going to be held to a standard as we come down the stretcher. So I think it's a brilliant move by him. And what I like most about it too is like the way he goes about doing it, right? I think there's other coaches, you look at a John Tortorella or whatever, right? It's, when he does it, there seems to be more surrounding it, more drama, right? Whether it's a post media conference or after a game where, the way he does it, it gets blown out, right? And I just like the fact that it's very subtle, it's to the point, it's very calm, just 2 different ways of doing it. And I find that the guys really do respect and respond to it. And it's going to be interesting to see as he continues down, coaching, how guys respond to it.
4 Nations begins on Wednesday. Where's your interest level at?
I love it. I'm excited. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing today when they're covering it and they're talking about the lines and they're talking about, all the different teams, and, we all see the skill. And I think it's going to be great hockey. I want to see, it's always nice when you see best on best and you see that amount of skill and passion, and the fact that they're making me excited by, the enthusiasm and the excitement that they're approaching it with. Like you look at Drew Doughty and the excitement, and he talked about in one of his media scrums how, over the summer, this was a goal of his, and he put a lot of work in. He obviously got hurt early into the season, but it was something that, he was working towards. And when he worked to get back in the lineup, it wasn't only just for his team, but it was also for this opportunity. You look at Sidney Crosby playing through a little bit of an injury, and, you see the importance of why and how much he wants to play for his country. So, yeah, I mean, their enthusiasm is kind of, getting me excited, because, when those guys are excited to play and they're the best players in the world, and the fact that they're going against the other countries and all the past history of these types of events and the emotion that they play with, I'm excited. I'm really excited to kind of see. I think it's great. It's another great reason, just like the Super Bowl, to get together for a couple drinks and hang out with some buddies.
Yeah, well, the Canada-US game on Saturday night is, like Canada-Sweden, it's like the appetizer. I think people will be excited about it for sure. But I know now more than ever, if you throw the political landscape and everything, like Canadians are going to want to kick the living what out of the Americans. Like, honestly, I think most Canadian fans are like, man, and even if you're a Canadian fan, like if you're a Maple Leafs fan, you're probably like, no, I'm a Canadian first. And you know what? If they spank Matthews, they spank Matthews. Right. Oh, yeah. And like, I still think Canada-US. Now, the Saturday game will matter. But unless there's a big surprise to me, I think we're going to see them again the following Thursday in the final. I think those two teams are going to be first and second. I think Finland, with all the injuries on their back end, I just think it's going to be too hard for them. Like taking out Miro Heiskanen on that team is a huge loss. And then Ristolainen's out. So, that's probably two of their top 5 defensemen. So they just don't have the depth anymore, right? So I look at, now Finland always punches up their weight class, though. I'll give them credit. They show up in these tournaments. But, I think U.S. and Canada, Swedes, I don't really know where to come out on them. They don't seem to have the offensive firepower as the North American team, so we'll see. But I saw Merrick mention how maybe Canada and U.S. should look at doing what the women do, where they have a best of 5 rivalry series. Now, you wouldn't do it every year, but would you do that every 2 years, considering that, all your teams are based in North America, right? It's still the vast majority of players are Canadian and American. Would you be in favor of the league shutting down and have a rivalry, or should they replace that? And it doesn't mean that, sorry to Russia, sorry to Germany, sorry to Sweden, sorry to Finland. We're just going to have a rivalry series in North America with the North American players. And then if they wanted to have a rivalry series in Europe, they could do it with the European players. You think that would be better?
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone would like to see it. The only thing that kind of worries me is in season. And when these guys come back, I mean, it's coming down the most important stretch of the NHL season, right? So I do like it probably a little bit better than the NHL All-Star game. But I do worry that these guys are going to be competing at such a level that I just hope that no one puts themselves in a situation where they're going to get hurt, So, having those two, the US and Canada would be exciting. But I also like and know, when I played over in Europe, the pride that everyone plays with for their own country. And it's nice to see all the different countries and how everyone measures up against each other. And, it's nice that it's nice to see Canada play Sweden. It's nice to see Canada play some other countries other than just the US, because it kind of lets you know where everyone's at, because Canada at one point used to be so much further ahead, and now it's the gap isn't as much. And it's nice, I think everyone takes great pride when they play, as players, to be like, hey, we're on top, or we're here, we're there. And it's something that each country can kind of build towards.
What'd you make of the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it was, well, it was kind of, I for the first time, I've never done indoor golf. So that was kind of cool. So we played a little indoor golf
while you were watching the game.
While we were watching it, so that was kind of neat. It was something different.
God, by halftime, you're probably focusing more on golf than the game. It was pretty much over.
My game was tough too. It wasn't. I didn't do very well. That didn't help. But I thought it was good. It was this. I kind of thought that maybe Philadelphia would come out, with an early lead. But I just thought with the experience of Patrick Mahomes and that group, the fact that they've won, I kind of thought that, as the game wore on, that they would kind of bring their experience. It always just seemed like, as a quarterback, he always had that play, and he always had the ability to make the big play at the right time and the right moment. And I just felt like I was always waiting for it, right? When's that play going to come? When's that pass going to come? When's Kelsey going to, make a run? And
never looked in sync, did he?
Nothing. They just couldn't get going. And credit to Philadelphia to grind it out. And I just didn't think anyone's defense would be as good enough to shut down Patrick Mahomes. I don't know why. I just felt like he's done it for so long of just making plays at the right time. I just thought it was just going to be another game.
And yesterday, it was like, you can use the term contained. Yesterday was shut down. Like it was 40-6, and then they got some garbage time. The Eagles were already thinking about celebrating, as they should have been. But if you look through the first 50 minutes of that game, like virtually nothing. Like Mahomes had nothing. Now Kelsey, he missed a few passes. Kelsey dropped a few passes. Normally you'd think maybe he would catch, but it wasn't even that he was, just being contained, and he would march the field, and then they'd settle for field goals. Like they barely, they didn't even cross half. In the first half, like it was utter domination.
Yeah, they looked off. He just didn't even. And I kind of thought, when you're watching the early success of Philadelphia, like obviously, the emotion of their coach and the emotion of the players, I'm like, oh, don't get too excited, right? I kind of thought that maybe they were getting a little ahead of themselves, but it's you got to give them credit for going in there and obviously respecting the fact that they're the defending Super Bowl champs and they're the team that they are. But man, they didn't take anything away from their own game, and I thought that was impressive.
Quick break. When we come back, Noah Philp will join us. We'll talk about his journey to the NHL, what he learned, and what he's hoping to work on when he's down in Bakersfield. Next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply. Legacy Heating and Cooling is the only place to call for heating your home. So when it's time to replace your old furnace, call Legacy. Call Legacy. Or for 24-hour repair with no overtime rates. Call Legacy. Legacy even heats your shower with hot water tanks. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. And with no interest and no payments for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Roses are red, violets are blue. To heat things up this Valentine's Day, a Papa John's pizza will certainly do. Flowers are nice, but so is a slice of delicious handcrafted pizza made with fresh ingredients. Right now, get a medium 2-topping pizza and your choice of dessert for only $25.99. Order today at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app using the promo code LOVEDAY. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Attention drivers, it's the midwinter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan for all your residential water needs. Your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.328. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. You can always get involved in the show. You can text us 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our inbox. Let's get to the oil report now, brought to you by Volvo Cars. Edmonton, right now you can lease a 2025 plug-in hybrid for only 1.49%, and you'll save $4,500 on top of that. So a great deal right now at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. We are joined by a member of the Oilers organization, made his NHL debut this season, just got back in the Bakersfield Condors lineup on the weekend. Had a goal and an assist. Noah Philp joins us once again. Noah, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Excellent. Players always talk about, hey, the goal is to get to the NHL. And, for a lot of young guys, you get into those first few games and it's like, geez, it's different than I thought it would be. What did you learn from your time, your 2 stints in the NHL, that you can work on specifically in your game down in Bakersfield?
I think that I learned that you can never really stop working on your speed, and I mean that in 2 ways. One, skating, and the next is just like decision making. And I found that such a big thing at the NHL level, and just going to try to keep progressing that and keep making decisions faster, knowing where to go with the puck.
So, making decisions faster, like the game's super fast, right? Like, and it's obviously everybody wants to do it, but what's the hardest part about making quicker decisions, do you find?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think that the hardest part is knowing where to go with it. And the NHL, there's a really nice flow to the game, and you got to find that rhythm. And coming in, that's an adjustment period for a lot of players. And I think as I was going, I was figuring that out a little more.
So Noah, you're getting to play with a veteran player like Corey Perry, who's just had a remarkable career, and it's really at this point in his career, it's just his gamesmanship and his understanding of when to come up, with a big play, whether it's a goal or a dump in, a hit. What have you learned about Corey Perry that maybe you could add to your game?
Oh, a little bit of everything. And what I just talked about, the being ready to make the next play. I mean, he's a master at it at his age and his longevity. I think just a little bit of everything, the way he manages the game. He's a fun guy to pick apart all parts of his game.
Well, and no, you have, certain element. You're willing to drop the gloves like he does. There's a gamesmanship element to that. And we've seen that. You're willing to do that. Obviously, you're a good skater. His ability to read the play around the net, because, everybody says, oh, just go to the net. Like, going to the net's one thing, but it's going to the net with a purpose and getting the body positioning, right? And knowing how to read off, okay, the rebound's going to come here. Like, those are things that, can take a lot of time. Do you feel like, and you're a centerman, different than a winger, but do you feel that, you can get that in your game, or do you got to still be true to what Noah Philp does well first?
Well, I think some other really good advice I got there was just be instinctual and let yourself find the instincts in the game. And that comes with time. You can learn from these guys, but ultimately you're your own player. So I think more so I just try to find my own game and then, pick up on little nuances.
So Noah, like being a role player myself, right? You're on the ice, off the ice. You're sitting for extended times at different times throughout the game. What is it, or what are some of the things that you do when you're in some of those situations that allow you to stay in the game and ready for when your opportunity comes?
I try to just stay focused and stay. Sometimes, like if it's even as simple as coming back to your breathing or something like that. Trying to be tuned into the game and not get distracted by everything that's going on. Because like you said, you can sit for 20 minutes, 15 minutes at a time. So I think just trying to stay in the moment.
Noah Philp joins us. And no, that's got to be the hardest thing, right? Because, you're down in the minors and you're a young player and, you're getting lots of opportunities. You're playing in almost every situation. But the truth is, when you come to the NHL, very few guys are going to get power play time in Edmonton. That's just, you're not going to get that. And then there's 5-on-5 and then there's penalty kill time. And how was the adjustment of staying in the game when you weren't playing as much as you're used to? How do you, how much of that is mental and how did you deal with that?
That was a bit of a challenge. I think I dealt with it by just trying, there's all those TV timeouts and I'll try to jump over the boards, keep my legs moving and sort of just stay in the game, feel your edges a little bit. As much as that sounds like it's not a lot, I think it helps me.
Yep.
And then just watching, like for me, it's so much fun because you learn. I'm learning from these guys who've been in the league for like Perry 20 years, and it's just fun to learn. So I feel like I'm soaking up information.
When you were sitting on the bench those first few games, and you've got like two of the best players in the world, right? Like, you're a hockey player, of course, but then are you still a little bit of a fan? Geez, look at that McDavid. He's even faster when I'm sitting on the bench than he looks on TV and Draisaitl. Like how I love the word fun because sometimes maybe we forget that's part of the game is you want to have fun. Like, are you a little bit of a fan at that moment at all when you're on there for the first few games?
I think you're trying to be there, so try not to think as a fan. But to me, they're so much fun to watch and fun to play with and fun to see their competitiveness. And as I mentioned, I feel like you can learn so much just by watching the way they do things. And I feel like I'm trying to do that as much as I can.
So Noah, you've been up and down. Chris Knobloch has done a lot of really, really good coaching, pushed a lot of buttons, in the last game, giving ice, taking away ice. Maybe can you talk about his coaching style and the way he goes about it? It seems like it's very, very calm, but can you maybe speak to, his message and how he gets it across?
Yeah, for Knobloch, I mean, I really enjoy him, and I think he's been fair to me, and I think he's a very fair coach. And I think that his calm demeanor goes a long way, and he really lets players find their style. We talked about being your own player, and I think that he emphasizes that within each guy, and he gets that message across by trusting you. And at that level, you're not gonna play if you're not doing your job, and a lot of the time your job is what you already do best. So I think he really lets players be themselves, and that goes a long way.
Was there any specific conversation he has with you? Like maybe when you go down, okay, Noah, this is what I really like about your game. This is what we want you to work on.
Yeah, I think that for them, they really like my skating and then my ability to disrupt plays and be physical and be strong and hard to play against. And when I was up there, I struggled a little bit in the face-off circle, and I think that's a big point of emphasis for them and for me. So that's kind of what I'm working to improve on here, and then all the other little things, of course.
Well, no, guess what? You wouldn't be the first young center iceman to struggle on face-offs. There's so much technique and timing and everything that goes into it. And when you like Derek Ryan's now down in Bakersfield, and I talked to Derek Ryan, he's been an elite face-off guy, and he kind of does it differently because he has a little bit lower leverage because he's smaller, but there's not many small guys that have been historically as good as him. So when you learned in the draws, where were the areas you felt like, okay, you know what? Like I learned from this. The next time I come up, hopefully I can be a little bit better at. What was it that some of these veterans, why they got the best of you in the face-off dot?
I think just repetition. And I felt that it was a little stricter, or more strict maybe is the right term.
Okay.
In terms of the referees and your positioning and stuff. And it's a little bit more of a stick battle. And I just think these guys they're smart. They read you, and their timing's really well. So it's really just a thing of reps and working on it, and I keep trying to do that.
Is that something that you look to work on with Derek in practice now in Bakersfield?
Yeah, that would be something I was picking the brain of Henrique and Draisaitl and those guys when I was in Edmonton, and for sure Derek here, and even some of the guys in Bakersfield are really good too. So you can kind of pick up things from everybody.
So Noah, when you talk about the physicality part of your game, like it's not, as a fan watching, it's, quite often we're like, hey, shoot the puck or hit. Like, can you talk about maybe some of the challenges on like how fast the game is and how important it is, the timing of a hit, and you can't just run around recklessly because there's got to be some purpose to it. Because there's got to be a difference between the American League, the speed and hitting there, and the speed and hitting in the NHL.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things with that in both leagues, to be honest with you, is hitting and then maintaining your position. So if you're running around and you hit a guy, but you give up a 2-on-1, it's no good. So I think that you got to hit, and then you got to stay above your guy, stay defensively sound. And that's so important in the NHL because if you give anyone a little bit of space, they're going to make a play.
Noah Philp joins us. Noah, I looked at your first game back. You had 7 shots on Saturday night. And just, what you want, everybody improves the more they have puck touches. Even just getting those 12 games you've had, and you had a longer stint the last time in the NHL, do you feel your confidence is higher now that you're like, man, like I'm going to come down to the American League and I should be able to dominate most games?
I do feel more confident. I think that we talked about the speed of the game and the decision making, and seeing how smart these guys are. I feel like I picked up a little bit of that, and I'm confident in playmaking, and hopefully can do some damage down here.
So Noah, I don't know exactly how many minutes you play in a game, but obviously I'm assuming that when the game is over, your work is continuing, you know, with whether it's a bike ride or some type of workout. Like, what are the types of things that you do to make sure that you're staying in shape, you know, for the opportunity that, you know, maybe you get more minutes? You know, is there anything that you kind of do to make sure that you're staying sharp off the ice?
Yeah, there's lots of stuff, from bikes to extra lifts, and also trying to work on quick feet and speed. I did a lot of that in the summer, and I felt when I came in, I had a lot of jump, and kind of just keeping that rolling throughout the season, finding time to do a little bit of that.
Has there
it's all management. It depends on the game schedule and that sort of thing, but a little bit of everything.
A lot of times we don't get to see what players are like off the ice and the work that goes into it. And that's the one thing that, you know, I noticed when I got to my first training camp was how hard Ray Bourque, Cam Neely, and guys like that, the work that they put into. Is there anything that you can maybe share with us that you were kind of surprised on their approach a certain player took to the game?
You know, one guy who stood out in terms of work ethic was Pod Coles, and I thought he was incredible. He finds extra time and extra energy and builds that tolerance. And he's a workhorse. He's always on the bike, and he's putting in extra time always. So I think he deserves to be where he is, and he's worked for it.
No, one last one. What do you do, you know, away from the game in your time off? You got any hobbies? Anything you like to do, like other than golf?
Other than golf, yeah. I pretty much just try to get outside whenever I can. My wife and I would really like exploring new places, going hiking, going to the ocean if we can down here in Bakersfield, and just trying to get in the sun, pretty much.
Ooh, well, that's that's not a bad thing at all. It's a good thing to get out and hiking about. Did you go on any hikes when you were here in the River Valley?
Not as many. It was like minus 30 the whole time, or most of the time I was there. So a bit more indoors. But,
might got to get some long johns on you.
It's a lot warmer here right now.
Oh yeah. So
you don't mind it at all. So.
you like to hike in shorts, not in long johns.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Although I did grow up in Canmore.
Yeah, you should be. I was just gonna say, man, you could be walking, you could be hiking in like a t-shirt, no big deal.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
you get hot walking up a mountain.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, Noah, continued success in Bakersfield, and hopefully we see you back in Edmonton soon. Thanks so much for your time.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate you having me on.
You betcha. That's Noah Philp, who is, of course, down in Bakersfield. And like Philp's a really smart guy. I've talked to him, you know, on and off. And I love guys when he talks about, hey, these are the areas like I want to work on, like face-offs, I want to be better at. Because if you're a bottom six guy, and if you can be like, you think about some players who like Derek Ryan's speed, you know, slowly eroded Brownie, but he was 58, 59% in the face-offs. That's going to keep you in the league maybe an extra year, maybe an extra 2 years, because there's a real big value to that.
No, that's you know, one of the reasons why I kind of asked him about Corey Perry, because he's the perfect example of a guy that's just continually found a way, you know, to add value to a team. And I think, you know, having a player like that and being around him, you know, you want to be a sponge as much as you can, because you know, that's, you know, to be in the NHL, you got to be really, really good at something, right? And then just add a whole bunch of layers around that if you can. So, I mean, he's in a great situation. It looks like, as far as a guy that, you know, understands who he's around and who he has to watch, and kind of, you know, talk and take little bits of their game. Because he's in a pretty unique situation with two of the best players in the world, a Stanley Cup team, right? And so when if he can take that next step and find that, wow, he can really, you know, his career can really take off, because he's in a perfect spot right now.
Yeah. And you know what? When you look at the Oilers organization, now it might, and so we have a lot of texts coming in at 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, do you think with Henrique and Nugent-Hopkins the last few games playing center, does Philp get another opportunity or do they look for a veteran? I think it's a very valid question. And it's one that they might lean to a veteran. We'll see. I think, the face-off work down, I'm sure that's what they'll be watching a lot of. But even if you dominate the American League of face-offs, you come up here, Brownie, and now you're just dealing with NHL guys. Now, the advantage he has is every day in practice, he could go up against Eric Ryan. And I remember when Adam Oates worked with Jared Stoll and Sean Horkoff, like every day in practice. If I'm Noah Philp, I'm saying, Ryan, I will take you out for lunch every day if we get 15 minutes of face-off work in practice.
I think, yeah, for sure. If he can add that, I agree with you 100%. For me, he needs to add another layer of physicality with that size and that skating.
That's fair.
Right? With his stick. So face-offs, great. Right? If he adds that physical, like that's what they need.
Oh, buddy, the Oilers are.
That's what they're dying for.
Oh, you're so bang on. Anybody with the pulse physically would stand out on this team right now.
And I think that you only get so many of these opportunities throughout your career.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And he's had a couple. Right? Now he's back down in the minors. I think his next opportunity, if he can add the physicality, I think even before the face-offs and be hard to play against, that's what the Oilers need, especially at that size, right? If he can bring that youthful excitement and energy, and that's where that Corey Perry and the gamesmanship would really, hopefully rub off on him.
Quick break. We'll come back. We got the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. Also, we got Kevin Woodley coming up. Lots of goaltending to get to. We'll probably dive deep into the. We'll get some of Skinner's numbers, but we're going to look at Four Nations. And I got to think Aiden Hill's starting. I don't think I saw an announcement, but he was the first goalie in the Ace today. I don't see how he can't be starting at this point for Team Canada. In an ideal world, he plays the first two games. Canada's looking good. Then they can play Binnington against Finland in what was kind of a quasi-nothing game, and then go back to Hill for the final against US. That would be the ideal scenario from my vantage point. So we'll see. We'll come back on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthew. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
Roses are red, violets are blue. To heat things up this Valentine's Day, a Papa John's pizza will certainly do. Flowers are nice, but so is a slice of delicious handcrafted pizza made with fresh ingredients. Right now, get a medium 2-topping pizza and your choice of dessert for only $25.99. Order today at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app using the promo code LOVEDAY. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
A Bedtime Story by Zachary Martin Hyman.
The hockey game's over. The Zamboni sleeps soon. I lay down in comfort, legacy heating my room. Good night to you, furnace, with your hot blower running. Good night to you, air vents, keeping the warm air coming. Good night to my payments that I won't see for 1 year. Good night to my legacy. Bedtime is near.
Warm winter nights. That's how you soothe your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Let's act together to stop the destruction. We can rebuild our healthcare by respecting frontline workers and by putting patients before profits and politics.
Visit rebuildourhealthcare.ca to learn more.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Get the Slapshot Special. Add a 2-liter Pepsi product to a large one-topping pizza and garlic Parmesan breadsticks and bundle it for only $25.99. Use promo code hockey24 at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.348, Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley with you, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Can always get involved, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. The text line is humming because, hey, there's going to be a few weeks on trade rumors, and I think it's very valid. Greg, the more you throw out the numbers, the more I agree they need a top six. My question is, there doesn't seem to be a lot of guys. You think Kyle Palmieri has anything left? Good question, Mike. My initial gut would say no. I don't, because like when I say it, like if you're going to go get a top six, I want a top six. I don't want a top 9 guy who I hope can be a top 6 guy. I want a legit top 6 guy. And, you know, Palmieri, like he does have 16 goals, which I know in today's NHL, that puts him on pace for 24. So you know what? Yeah, maybe it could be. You know, he's a veteran guy. And here's the thing. It's not like the guys he's replacing. Like you're going from 6 and 7 to a 16 goal scorer who hasn't played with McDavid or Draisaitl. That's the part to me that's the most frustrating about the Oilers' top 6 wingers, not named Zach Hyman. And I've put Ryan Nugent-Hopkins in this category for a long time. Now, Nugent-Hopkins does have 15 goals in the season, so that's what's going to help him. He's finding ways to contribute elsewhere. He did have a run there where he kind of woke up and produced a little bit 5-on-5, but he's never been a huge 5-on-5 productive player in his career. So I'm not expecting him suddenly to just dominate 5-on-5. He's never really done it. He had he had the 1 year where he had really big numbers. But if you look at his season this year at 5-on-5, he's got he's got 7 goals. So it's not terrible. It's still more than the other guys, but he plays, with McDavid and Draisaitl for the majority of the time. So I would like the fact that Corey Perry has 10 and Jeff Skinner has 9, and those guys have played infinitely less minutes. That's a concern to me. Like, it's good that Corey Perry's, it's a great story what he's doing. But do I think Corey Perry, when the playoffs start, do I want him on my second line to start? I don't, because I don't think your second line's good enough then.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that you can kind of put up and down and move around, right? But if he's on your second line, I would agree with you. Just his age and his speed, I think as you get into the playoffs will be a factor, but he is a nice guy to be able to put on as a depth guy that's going to be able to, that you're going to count on. You know what you're going to get. He's going to hit. He's going to be physical. He's going to get to the front of the net. He's going to be hard to play against, and he's going to be able, he's got the offensive ability too.
Yeah. So top 6 guys are hard to find, but it's, to me, hey, that's your GM's job. Other GMs do it. I never like to buy the excuse, well, it's difficult.
Do you got to make the move early, right? Because it's not like the Oilers are the only team looking for a top 6 guy, right? So I think you got to try. Do you try and beat everyone to this?
Well, when they come back, it's February 22nd, and you look now. I got to look up at the rule on the trade freeze. I think there's a trade freeze, but I'm actually not 100% certain, so I got to look that up. But Collins, maybe look it up. So let's just say there is. So then there's not going to be a trade this week. Fine. But it would probably come back on next Friday. So either way, 21st, 22nd, doesn't matter. The Oilers have 7 games and 2 weeks. They're the 2 weeks, because right now they're actually accruing cap space because it counts the way the season goes, right? So because Noah Philp went down, the extra body, they're actually accruing cap space again. That's just a minimal amount, but every little dollar here or there counts. But if you can get the second line guy, I don't think the extra 13 days to wait until the deadline are worth it enough for me. I with you. I would make the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no trade free. So yeah, you can make it now, but I do think you make it now, no one's playing. Okay, maybe I could buy the argument. Maybe you can come to a deal in agreement with the team and just say, let's just wait to announce it, after Four Nations. Because there's no benefit to us, right? Although I guess you could say you could wait to announce it on the Tuesday, because I guess if you do make the trade, you'd want them to practice, and the Oilers practice next Tuesday and Wednesday. So there's no point in really making a trade this week, I don't think.
What if you I keep seeing that name, Olivier from Columbus. Well, I like him.
Yeah, Don Waddell came, but he doesn't. He answers a total different element for your team, right? He's a bottom six guy. Now he had a career start. Right, like I don't think he's ever scoring goals again like that. Like, what do you have? 8 goals in the first 25 games or something, and now he's come back down to earth. But he's big and physical, and he can kill penalties if need be. So he adds an element. But Don Waddell is on record as saying, "I owe it to my team the way they've played to look to add, not subtract." So it doesn't mean he's telling the truth 100%. But if he says that, my gut tells me it's probably unlikely he's going to move Olivier because, well, you played Brownie. When you have a guy you have one of the top 5 toughest guys in the league who plays 12 minutes a night, he's an impact guy. And so to trade him for a second rounder, does it really help you?
No, he's just going to look to try and replay and find that guy. And we all know how hard it is to find that guy. If you got him, you keep him. That's why when I seen his name and for the money that he's making, wow, he would be that was one of the nice things that, watching Florida play last year was they had that mixture of grit and toughness. Right. And now you bring a guy like that. I know he's not a top 6, but he's a guy that's going to make a lot of guys feel comfortable, play bigger, meaner. And now you got a team that, can not only, make great plays and play a skilled hockey game, but, with his presence, they just become that much more physical. And then you add Kane to that, man, they would be hard to play against.
Oh, well, yeah. Kane's a massive wild card at this point. I think we all agree with that. So we'll see. And in
what way? On how he's going to play or where he fits in?
Well, how he's going to play and where he fits in.
But I think he could fit in a bottom role.
Well, yeah, he's a
guarantee
bottom role.
He's going to play physical.
Yeah, that's the one thing he'll
hard.
bring. Yeah. Right. But you know what? Is he going to play 11 minutes a night? Sure. But he's not going to I don't see Kane filling a top 6 role in the playoffs to start. It's too much to ask for a player to be off that long. He's not Kucherov. Right? And Kucherov was only off 4.5 months. This guy's been off by the time the playoffs start. He'll be off 10 months.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be, yeah.
Closer to 11, really. Because he didn't play he played, one game in the final? That was early June. So, no. Let's get to the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter, legacyheating.ca. Cam Tate, longtime journalist in town. Cam has cerebral palsy. He's in a wheelchair. But due to the wonders of technology, Cam's now part of the show. His voice comes to life in the 2-minute warning.
We could very easily survey the hundreds of thousands of words written on Super Bowl 59. And we could also view the hours of online video and even rewatch the game in its entirety to make observations and come up with a thesis or an essay, a column maybe, or even a 2-minute segment on the radio. We could, but we won't. Instead, I'm going to try to use this broadcasting bonanza extravaganza to look at the National Football League and not only celebrate the victory with the Philadelphia Eagles, but the league itself. Full disclaimer. I was rooting, like that word there. Uncle Pete, rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs, and the biggest driver was the 3-peat angle. Nobody has won the Super Bowl 3 times in a row. Call me a sucker for history, not only learning about it, but see it happen in person or on television and seeing Kansas City Chiefs coach Andy Reid before the game. Blue blazer, white shirt, red tie, carrying a briefcase. He was about to enter his most important business transaction. Ever it set the scene for a game for the ages. Clearly, it was not. The Eagles were good, really good. I mean, not allowing Kansas City a single point in the first half. How good is that? It was a game which may have surprised few people. It was a game that made it very clear. To win 3 consecutive Super Bowls, the race is once again on The compete level in the National Football League is amongst the best, if not the best, in professional sports. The Eagles? They're going to defend their Super Bowl and put themselves in three-peat conversations themselves. The Chiefs? They're going to try to get back to being champions, like every other NFL team. And for those of us who enjoy watching and debating the NFL, our experience just got even better. 2-minute warning with me, the Cammer. Monday, Friday, Jason Gregor Show. Sports 1440.
We're going to have to find out. I think it's a self-imposed nickname. The
Cammer.
Cammer. Yeah. I don't mind it. It's kind of greasy, but I don't mind it. So, yeah, you know what? Hey, history was there, but the Eagles said no interest in history because they absolutely crushed them. Crushed. I thought it'd be close. Cons thought it'd be close. Cons did pick the Eagles to win, but I don't think anybody, you look at the line, it was 1 point. Nobody was expecting them to utterly dominate from start to finish. Because let's be honest, they dominated that game from start to finish. It was really never in doubt at any point after they scored and went up 7-0. It was never close.
So does Kelsey have anything left in him? Does he come back? Is he an impactful player anymore?
Yeah. Well, he was for certain games, like he wasn't in that game, but really nobody was in that game. I don't know if you can. I wouldn't put like one bad performance and then say, okay, now it's like everybody, oh, this guy had a good game. Now he's top 5, right? Everybody's so quick to always want to make judgments off of one game. I get it. It's one game.
Aren't we doing that about the quarterback?
Well, no, Hurts played really well.
No, I know.
But are
we putting him up there now?
Not me. He's a good quarterback. Sure. He's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I don't think but I think it was probably top 10 before the game started. Right. So, now he's won a Super Bowl.
But when you win the big game, does it not move you up more?
It can, but I think sometimes it gets inflated, right? Like look at some, like Giants fans will tell you Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer. And I was like, why? Look at his career numbers. He had 2 really good games in 2 years in the playoffs, but the majority of his other years are average, right? Like not close to great. So, he didn't go in as a first timer, which he shouldn't have, but I'm not sure he'll go in at any point. If you actually look at his whole career, well, he won a Super Bowl. But what does that mean? Like Joe Burrow this year was off the charts, unreal. He had a terrible defense. He can't play defense. You can't win if you don't have a defense. Like, look, even the Eagles offense yesterday, their defense just kept giving them the ball and giving them the ball. And it's awesome, right? And they took advantage of it. But if your defense is getting off the field quick and now the opposing defense is getting tired, right? Like there's a big advantage that your defense is helping you. And so I'm a big believer, like individuals, it's nice when you win a Super Bowl and you play well, but I look at longevity and you got to look at more games played. Look at career numbers, not just game numbers for me, because it's like in hockey. It's a team sport. And so like Connor McDavid, look at the year he had last year in the playoffs. It's there's how many guys have scored 40 points in a playoff season? 3? So one of the greatest individual performances ever. So they lost in game 7. And if he never wins the Stanley Cup, does that mean he's not as good as some other players? To me, I think it's an asinine statement. What more could Connor McDavid have done for his team to win? Like he has to score 50 points? So that's where sometimes I think we get caught up. Like to me, teams win championships. Individuals are based on their career, and most of it's the regular season because that's where the majority of the games are played.
So much of it, though, whether it's Stuart Skinner or Connor McDavid, until you actually win that big game, right? People look at you in a different light. But do you think did Andy Reid, did he get out coached?
I don't know. I don't think so because
did they make the adjustments though? Like
but how much? It's not hard to adjust. They're not blitzing. Right. And they like his quarterbacks. There was 3 throws yesterday that I don't think Mahomes liked. Now, I'm not saying they would have they weren't big. Like they never went over the top. Right. I didn't feel that the KC just ever had an answer. Right. Mahomes looked uncomfortable in the pocket. And as a coach, like if you can't get better alignment to block, how else do you do it? Right. Like sometimes you are what you are. You coach. You might think you're a great coach. If you don't have good players, guess what? The other team has better players than you have. You can think you have the best X and O guy. You're not winning.
Yeah.
Because the other team's skill beats you. And Philly had better talent on the field yesterday for sure than KC.
Really? Because, I mean, it just seemed tactically like I thought that how much of it is tactical and how much of it is Holmes in the pocket making those reads, right? Were they calling the right plays?
Well, Mahomes, you know what? He's able to call a lot of his own stuff too, right? Over like they ad lib a lot. Like once he gets out of the pocket, right? Now you're scrambling and you're running for your life on every third play. It's the old Mike Tyson adage. Everybody has a game plan until you get punched in the face. And they just couldn't react. So I don't know if for me, I'm giving the Eagles more credit. I think they deserved it. So I don't want to downplay it by saying, well, Andy Reid, da-da-da. I just think the Eagles players executed exceptionally well and just outperformed KC's players yesterday. And so we can say the coaches were better, sure, no problem. But I don't think it's like KC made all these terrible calls and their players were playing great, but their coach screwed them. I don't think that was the case. Right. At least for me. Anyway.
If they play a series, who's better, do you think?
Well, this season, if you look at the Eagles, and it's funny, people look at how many Eagles fans were calling to fire Sirianni after a month into the season, right? Because they were 2-2 month into the year. He's brutal. Get rid of him. Like we can pull up all the articles, right? They wanted him gone. And then what did they do ever since then? Because the thing about the NFL now, and Connor and we got to go to break, but Connor will talk about it afterwards. The fact that veterans barely play in the preseason now, the first month of the NFL regular season, I don't think you can make any estimation on how good or bad a team is because they're still in preseason form and you don't really know. Kind of sucks for the fans who pay the money, but that's what it looks like it's going in the NFL because they don't even play their starters anymore, barely. Right? Like some guys were playing a total of like 4 snaps. How the hell do you get in any sort of rhythm doing that?
Yeah.
So quick break. Let's get to the Con Man and Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Get where you need to go this winter, and the midwinter tire clearance is on now, where you can get 20% off all in-stock tires, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. FountainTire.com.
The Sports 1440 update.
Team Canada captain Sidney Crosby participated in the team's first practice earlier today. Told reporters afterwards he's good to go for the four-nation face-off. Worked on a line with Mark Stone and Nathan McKinnon. Connor McDavid entered the top line with Mitch Marner and Sam Reinhart. Canada gets the tournament going Wednesday, 6 o'clock, and they'll take on Sweden. Los Angeles Lakers superstar Luka Doncic was upgraded from questionable to probable for tonight's game when they take on the Utah Jazz. It'll be his much-anticipated debut since the trade last week as he recapped from a left calf strain. That game gets going tonight, 8:30 Mountain Time. You've also got the Nuggets taking on the Trailblazers, Kings in Dallas, Thunder host the Pelicans, Warriors up against the Bucks, Heat take on the Celtics, Hornets in Brooklyn, Wizards up against the Spurs, the Hawks meet the Magic, and the Cavaliers taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Bruce Levine, Dallas Stars pre- and post-game host, and Ask 5 Questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440. The KJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road. Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Roses are red, violets are blue. To heat things up this Valentine's Day, a Papa John's pizza will certainly do. Flowers are nice, but so is a slice of delicious handcrafted pizza made with fresh ingredients. Right now, get a medium 2-topping pizza and your choice of dessert for only $25.99. Order today at papajohns.ca or through the Papa John's app using the promo code LOVEDAY. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the only place to call for heating your home. So when it's time to replace your old furnace, call Legacy. Call Legacy. Or for 24-hour repair with no overtime rates. Legacy even heats your shower with hot water tanks. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. And with no interest and no payments for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
90 days? You're telling me I can buy a 2024 or 2025 Buick or GMC from Wolf GMC Buick and make no payments for 90 days? Whoa. And you're telling me there's more? It's the final days of GMC's employee pricing on remaining 2024 Sierra HDs and Yukons? Clearly now is the time to buy a new vehicle. I'm heading to Wolf GMC Buick, corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road. It's mere seconds east of the Anthony Henday. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Forces of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona has special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 4 o'clock, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sean Brown with you on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Got a lot of text to get to, a few other things to talk about. Bruce Levine's going to join us because one interesting team. This week, we're going to strategically pick some of the top stories around the NHL, and the Dallas Stars are one of them for a variety of reasons. They're playing very well, but Miro Heiskanen out. He's not playing the Four Nations, and there's some rumblings he might be out the rest of the regular season. Well, that frees up a huge amount of money for LTIR. What about Tyler Seguin? Is he coming back? If not, there's a lot of other money for LTIR. Like, could Jim Neal's already made a move, right? They already made the trade, and people like that trade. But could we see the Stars? Like, I've heard the interesting name for me that could work if Chicago's willing to, and even if they only retain $1.5 million, you get Seth Jones at $7.5 million. I don't think you're complaining about that contract. And you could get him this year, and it fits in no problem because you have the LTIR space. So then in the offseason, you know what? You rejig your team a little bit, and the cap goes up. Like, I would not be surprised at all. His dad played hockey there. Jim Neal has never been afraid to take a big swing. I'm going to ask Bruce about that. And the Seth Jones, now nothing's come out publicly, but he signed his contract in Chicago, and less than a year into his deal, they went full scorched earth. And we're like, now we're going in a full rebuild. Because they weren't when they signed him. And then they were, geez, our team's terrible here. And now they trade off, we got to try to get Bedard, right? And they let down, they got Bedard. But I wouldn't rule that one out at all to me.
Can Chicago afford to get rid of some of these players? Like, they got Bedard. I mean, how much longer do they want to struggle before it starts to affect Bedard and that organization?
Well, it's a valid point, but Dallas has lots of good young players, right? Yeah. And Chicago, they need to do like a 1-for-3 deal right now. That, okay, Seth Jones is a more established player, but can we get some of their younger guys? And Dallas has a lot of them, right? The Dallas Stars have drafted very well. And you know what? Because are all of their young guys going to play? Right? It's hard for you know how it is, Brownie, and you can't all fit in the organization. All as youth, it rarely works. So could I see them possibly making a move? Yeah, like obviously they're not trading Wyatt Johnson. So let's just stop there. But Dallas has made lots of other good picks, man, and they just got Bichel's now playing. We'll talk about him. But they got lots of other good young players. If they wanted to, they could give up. They would give up a first. Chicago needs to stockpile as much as they can.
But you need to make sure you're surrounding Bedard with good players and he's playing meaningful games.
But here's the truth. They are like 8-9 players away from being actually competitive. Like, let's just call a spade here. He was the start of their rebuild, and I told everybody that from day one. When I saw people trying to compare to McDavid or even to Crosby, those guys were like the final pieces of their team's rebuild. Patrick Kane, same thing, right? He came in last. They had Taves, they had Keith, they had Seabrook. Right now, obviously they got Hossa later, sure, but they became a competitive team pretty quick. Right, Sidney Crosby, there was Malkin, and there was Fleury, and then Whitney had been a high draft pick who they ended up getting for Chris Kunitz. Right, all that was done before Crosby. And when Jordan Stahl came the year after him, that's fine. But even look at McDavid, Draisaitl, Nurse, Nugent Hopkins, Hall, who turned into Larson. All those guys were here before him. Oscar Klefbom, all before. Who was there in Chicago before Bedard? Who? Classic. That's really it amongst young players, right? So Chicago, I never understood the people trying to tell me they're going to speed up the rebuild this year. You can sign a bunch of middling veterans, Brownie.
Yeah, but could you not, with the cap going up, does a Ratnan, does someone, a star player like that who's still got a lot of runway left, all of a sudden you get a guy like that?
I'll ask you this question, Brown. So you're Mikko Rantanen. You've won a Stanley Cup. You played competitive hockey. Chicago's going to give you $13 million for 8 years, or actually 7. That's the max they can give you is 7. And Carolina can give you $12 million for 8.
Yeah.
And you're going to compete. Are you going?
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Right. So that's where I don't unless they're going to want to pay the guy. Hey, we'll sign. Look what they did. Nick Foligno got $4 million for 2 years. Right. Way overpaid. But hey, good guy. Sure. But he's not a superstar player. Right. He's just a guy. I think he's a veteran guy, good leadership, all that stuff. And that matters. Don't get me wrong. It matters. But I just think Chicago, they have to be realistic. And they're going to say, Connor, you're going to be like Mario Lemieux. This whole generation that thinks that young superstars have to win right away or they're going to take their toy and leave. It's a joke.
That's kind of where we're going.
Oh.
So what about a Bertuzzi? What about a Bertuzzi?
Yeah, maybe. But he doesn't have the value that Seth Jones can at least get you something. Really? I don't think Bertuzzi can get you that much.
But does anything concern you with the fact that Seth Jones hasn't been on a winning team?
Well, he was in Nashville. They were a decent team. Right? It's not like Seth Jones because Seth Jones has played almost 40 playoff games, right? Like he was in Nashville. They're competitive. Mm-hmm. Like obviously being in Columbus, and even in Columbus, they made the playoffs, but yeah, that's not a shoot. I think he's driven hard. Like Jay Bouwmeester had never been in a playoff game until he went St. Louis, right? If you're a good player, that's kind of goes back to my adage. Like you can be a good player if the rest of your team sucks. Like, Connor McDavid made the playoffs once in the first 4 years. He's a pretty good player, but his team around him isn't that good. So Dallas, and we'll get to Bruce in the next segment, but I think Seth Jones to Dallas, there's some arguments to why that might make sense.
What GM do you think actually makes the deal that kind of like what's his name in Vegas there, McCrimmon, right? He seems to be the guy that pulls the rabbit out of the hat.
He's not afraid.
Yeah. Which GM do you think is going to make that deal? That's going to be like, wow, nobody's seen that coming.
Well, I think it's Jim Nill now with the high school.
Well, just because of the space,
because that's part of it, right? Like you need the cap space. Like Vegas, hey, Stone gets injured, and I know he's legitimately hurt. Could he come back a week early? Sure, I get why you wouldn't do it. It's like Oiler fans. Could Evander Kane, if Evander Kane plays on day 1 of the playoffs, you don't think he could have played a week earlier? But they're not going to complain about it now because it helps their team. So, and it's within the rules. It's not cheating. It's within the rules. You pass all the tests, the doctor's hurt. Like, hey, you're 8 weeks to 10 weeks. Well, if 10 weeks is right, 2 days before the playoffs, well, guess what? Why would you play him? It's idiotic. So, but Vegas right now, now William Karlsson is out, so that he's on LTIR, and that's all of a sudden maybe $5.9 million. So you're right. Vegas could suddenly get in the mix again.
It's just funny, all the names that we talk about, and then all of a sudden that trade deadline, it's like, whoa, Hurdle, where did he come from?
Yeah, very true. Quick break. When we come back, we will go to Dallas and find out how hurt is Miro Heiskanen, and if it is indeed season ending, is Jim Nill the guy to watch over the next 25 days before the NHL trade deadline? It's getting closer. It's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthew. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
Mr. Ruther travels the world.
Buongiorno, Italy. Nothing beats immersing oneself in another culture. Ooh, look at that. What an intricate design. Huh, wow. What a weird way to turn on the shower. OMG, a dedicated porcelain bidet. Do I try it? Well, when in Rome. Oh my, this beats that robot toilet in Japan.
All plumbing roads lead to Mr. Ruther.
Shop like an insider with the Bricks Friends and Family Sale. Save up to 25% off sofas, love seats, matching chairs, and sectionals. When you buy more, you save more. Up to an extra $1,000 off select major kitchen appliances. Plus, save up to 20% off bedroom and dining furniture. Save up to $600 off big screen TVs. And up to 25% off TV stands, fireplaces, and wall units. Sleep better with mattresses up to 40% off. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
What is with the weather lately? Is it winter? Is it an early spring? It's like Mother Nature's a hockey referee that can't quite figure out what an offside or a penalty is. Napa Auto Parts has everything you need to make the right call for your vehicle. Whether it's antifreeze, washer fluid, wiper blades, or that mysterious part you swear you just replaced, Napa has you covered. Because your vehicle deserves consistency. With over 85 locations in Alberta, stop into your local Napa store or NapaCanada.com for all your trusted parts, tools, equipment, and automotive needs. That's Napa know-how.
New Edge Construction wants you. We are hiring for several positions. Join a leading civil construction group in the Edmonton region. A strong team, competitive wages, retention bonuses, and current model equipment are what awaits you at New Edge. Go to newedgeconstruction.com. That's NUEDGE construction.com.
Join a leading civil construction group in the Edmonton region. Start your career now. Go to newedgeconstruction.com.
You know, this year I can't decide what to work on for my New Year's resolution. See, my confidence, my appearance, or my general happiness.
Why not improve all three by finally addressing your hair loss? Hi, I'm Dr. Vancelia. Receding hairlines and bald spots can chip away at your self-image, make you look older, and feel unattractive. Let's discuss your options for regaining a full natural head of hair and make this the year you get your mojo back. Book a free first consultation today at drvancelia.com.
You know, the Ridge Social Eatery St. Albert is a great place to unwind with your friends. But when it comes to Valentine's Day, let's just say you get a little frantic with the romantic. Not to worry, the Ridge has you covered. Yeah, the Ridge is the perfect place for you two with their special Valentine's Day menu. You get your choice of a main and your choice of a shared app and dessert, plus a bottle of sparkling wine, all for just $140 per couple. Reservations are recommended, so call now or go online to theridgesaintalbert.com.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Use promo code Gregor and get 20% off your order all day, every day. It's promo code Gregor before entering your order at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
And X, as always, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. And it's time to go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical, where they can help you take action on your savings right now. If you've been sitting on the fence, sit no longer. Go to actionelectrical.net, and they can help you get your price points, how to save the money to get solar on either your home or your business. Actionelectrical.net. And we are joined as we go into Dallas, where the Stars are rolling, but also they have some injury issue, but it could present a big opportunity. Bruce Levine joins us, a longtime beat reporter for the Dallas Stars. Bruce, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm actually in Austin, Texas today. We're touring University of Texas with my youngest son, so taking advantage of the break here.
What's the now? Is he going there for sports or for school or both?
Probably school first, and if he can get a chance to do a little bit of sports, he'll do that too.
Okay, nice. Bruce, give me the update. Miro Heiskanen, obviously he's not playing in the Four Nations, but there's some rumblings that he might be out for the rest of the regular season. Is that true?
Yeah, Pete DeBoer the other day talked about Miro being month to month. Then we had Jim Nill on our pregame show, and he said that the swelling hasn't gone down. They don't know how Miro is going to respond to, recovery, treatment, physical therapy. So they're hoping for the best case scenario, but right now, no one knows. And I'll tell you, in all my time covering the Dallas Stars, and especially under Pete DeBoer, this is the first time they've ever listed a player as month to month. Yanni Hakanpää last year was week to week and missed the last 3 months of the season in playoffs. So when you say month to month, it raises some concern.
Yeah. So if you look at it, Jim Nill and the Stars, they've got lots of talent on that team. They got a very good team. I think their window to be competitive is there. I look at Seth Jones because he just lost a big defenseman. And because of the LTR cap space, you could easily make the cap work this year, no problem. And then with the cap going up next year, could probably keep him in. Do you think they would swing that big potentially and try to look for a guy like Seth Jones?
The only way they would swing that big is if someone's going to eat at least 50% of that salary for 5 years. And it's not just when you think about the salary cap going forward, the Stars, Wyatt Johnston is on an entry-level contract. Thomas Harley is on a bridge contract. Logan Stankoven is going to get a raise in a couple of years. They're thinking long-term here. They can't eat even with the salary cap going up, they can't eat $9.5 million for the next 5 years. Yeah. If Seth Jones, if someone would, I don't know who's going to step up and eat half that contract. It's look, get me wrong. Seth Jones is, he calls North Texas home. I think it would be a nice addition. I think he'd do good on a team that has talent around him and not rebuilding. But that is an awful large contract to commit to for 5 more years. Yeah. So I don't see the Stars doing it unless you're going to get a third party to say, yeah, we'll eat $5 million of that or $4.5 million of that for 5 years. And I don't know who in their right mind would do that for 5 years and not have a player play for him.
Yeah. I thought that, Chicago eats 2.5 and then they get him at $7 million. And at $7 million, when you crunch the numbers, because Jamie Benn's contract, he's going to be getting a reduction in pay, I would assume, next year from his current 9.25 or whatever he's making there. So Because it's Seth Jones at 7.5 in today's salary cap world. There's like, hey, that's a pretty good value contract if they want to do it. So if they're not swinging there, like you got to look at some other defensemen. I would have to think with Heiskanen out, they already brought in Cody Ceci, but they'll be looking at other additions.
I think so. And I think that you may want to start looking. And the one thing Jim Mills said was he doesn't anticipate making any moves until you get closer to the March 7th deadline. Obviously, with the Four Nations coming up, it doesn't seem like that waiting is the right thing, but this is a long way to go. You've got a month to go until that deadline just about, and the Dallas Stars aren't losing hockey games. I mean, they're 6-1-1 in their last 8. They're third best overall in the league points-wise, so Jim Mill doesn't feel the need to have to make a move now. What may happen between now and March 7th are there are teams that are bubble teams right now that may think they have a chance to make the playoffs, but coming out of Four Nations stumble, and they know they're not going to make it. And I'm looking at, like, for example, a Seattle or somebody like that. You know, teams that right now think that with some good hockey they can get into the postseason, but may have reality smack them across the mouth. And then what are they willing to do? And don't forget, the Stars don't have a first-round pick this year, don't have a second-round pick this year. There isn't a ton in our prospect pool that would get people excited. Jim Mill has already said that Stankoven, Bork, and Liam Bichel are all non-negotiables. So unless he changes his stance, it's got to be a team that is not going to get there this year that thinks now's the time to sell.
Yeah, which, you know what, I think there'll be a few of them. We always see it, and, they might move out. I guess the other question I would have regarding the Stars, what about Tyler Seguin?
You know, Tyler Seguin is getting back on the ice, but it's not a hard on the ice. The way I describe it is he's going to public skating. You know, you got some Bon Jovi in the background, and he's taking some laps around the rink kind of thing. But I would be shocked if Tyler Seguin does not show up for the playoffs for the Dallas Stars. There's a reason they did this surgery when they did it. There's a reason for this. Looking at the timetable, Tyler Seguin's been through this before. He had to do this a couple of years ago with the other hip. I think Tyler Seguin comes back. I think he comes back after the season ends, probably as a fourth liner until he can get some semblance of his game back. Then he's an awfully good guy to have as your Swiss Army knife piece.
Bruce, you talk about Logan Stankoven and other guys that are going to be up for contracts and are going to be making good money. You also need, role players and guys that you can have at a good price point. Sam Steele being a local product here. Can you maybe talk about him and the value that he's added to Dallas?
You want to talk about a guy that the coaching staff and front office loves? You're talking about Sam Steele. He has played up and down the lineup. When we had injuries, he was playing top 9, even top 6 on a couple of games. Brilliant anchor for the fourth line, kills penalties. This is a guy that the Stars absolutely love. And I know that they're going to try to re-sign him. They want him. Now, are other teams going to see the value in the Sam Steele and drive the price up? That's quite possible. But as far as Sam Steele is concerned, if he scores a goal here or two, that's fantastic. But the Stars like what they get in Sam Steele on a night in, a night out basis. He just brings his lunch bucket every day, and whatever they need from him. If he has to go, block a shot, he'll block a shot. If he's got to kill a penalty, he'll kill a penalty. If he's got to jump up and play top 9 and try to score, he does that. This is a guy that the coaching staff and front office absolutely love, and they're going to try to keep him.
What about you look at Matt Duchene and the numbers that he's putting up. He's having another solid year. I kind of thought, he's been in the league for a while. He's a veteran, didn't get an opportunity in Nashville, but seems to be continuing to produce at his age. What can you say about his game?
Well, Matt Duchene is one of those guys that, when the Dallas Stars signed him, you sort of wondered, he got, bought out in Nashville, and there's been stories about him not fitting in well in locker rooms around the league. He has been a model citizen and a team leader in the room. He's a guy that produces. You just know his talent level is obscene. The goal he scored the other night against LA, where he went back and forth, I used a basketball term, he broke ankles on that play. And Matt Duchene is the team's leading scorer on the road, a guy that was absolutely thrilled out of his mind to go on a Stanley Cup run that he had never gone on before in his career with Dallas. He's a guy that, I know this is going to be a little strange for people in other parts of the hockey world that knew Matt Duchene as a youngster and the way he acted. He is nothing but a leader and a positive influence for the Dallas Stars core. And the fact that he's got Mason Marchment back, then you throw Mikael Granlund onto the other wing, that's a solid line. And even though Sagan's out, you put McGranlund in there, and that's a pretty good plug and play for Tyler Sagan being out. The Stars had tried different people in that position, but now you have Granlund, Duchesne, and Marchment. That's a pretty solid second line as far as everyone's concerned around here.
Bruce Levine joins us, Stars Radio pre- and post-game analyst. Bruce, Cody Ceci came over in that deal as well. Of course, faced off against the Stars last year in the Western Conference Final, and Jim Nill was rather excited to get him in. They talked up pretty highly of him. Where do you see Ceci as the best fit pair-wise on this team?
If the Dallas Stars are to go far in the playoffs, Cody Ceci has got to be a 5 or a 6 and maybe plug in, if injuries for a game, slightly higher. You look at the Dallas Stars right now without Heiskanen. Thomas Harley's absorbing a lot of the minutes. You've got Esa Lindell, who's in the Four Nations, who's just a good penalty killer, just a solid D-man. And then Ilya Lyubushkin becomes the key. He was hurt for both games this weekend, and it really taxed the defense. Matt Dumba hasn't been as good as the Stars thought he was going to be. Mm-hmm. And you've got Liam Bissell, who's a rookie, who has all the potential in the world, but he's never been through this before. In fact, this is the first year he's ever played an entire season on North American ice. Big kid, going to be fine. So for the Stars to be where they need to be, Cody Ceci's got to be a 5. He's got to play 14 to 17 minutes a night, kill penalties, but he's not the guy you want out there at the end of the game. That responsibility has to fall to Harley, Lyubushkin, and Lindell. If Cody Ceci is forced to play higher in the Stars lineup, it's going to be trouble because the depth at the blue line, and no slam against Brendan Smith and Matt Dumba, but it's just not where it needs to be to win a Stanley Cup. Can you win in the regular season with this group? Absolutely. Can you go on a cup run with Ceci as a top 4? Probably not.
So you talked about Matthew Dumba. He's got 36 games, no goals, 4 assists. Like, what is it about his game that he just can't seem to get any traction? Because at one point he was highly touted.
Right now the Dallas Stars defense plays a very aggressive game, jumping up and being, depending on speed, quite a bit. Matt Dumba has been a step behind. He got hurt early in the season. He got hurt 5 periods into the season, missed some time. Then he got hurt at the Christmas break and missed another 3 weeks. He's been playing with a face shield, a full bubble. He just hasn't been able to get into gear with the Dallas Stars system of play. And when he has tried to get into gear, he's been burned a few times by faster, younger players right now. The Stars want Matthew Dumba to provide some grit and provide some physicality, which he's tried to do, but he has been a half a step behind at times, and that's hurt Dallas defensively. So maybe Matt Dumba, after the Four Nations break, finds that extra gear, is played. He missed a lot. He said 36 games. Well, the Stars have played 55. He's missed almost 20 games. And that's not good for a guy coming to a new system where, in Dallas's case, they expect defensemen to get up and then get back. And he's been a step slow, and that's been part of the issue.
I was looking at the minutes in the 4 games since they acquired Ceci. At 5-on-5, he's actually played the most minutes, him and Lindell. Obviously, overall, Thomas Harley plays the most because he's on the man advantage now without Heiskanen. So obviously then if they're out there, they're looking for a top 4 right defenseman would be priority number 1 for Jim Nill.
It would be a priority. Now the question is, Ilya Lyubushkin missed the last 2 games with an injury. Jim Nill says that he'll be fine. Then when we get to the other side of the Four Nations, that Lyubushkin will be back and everything will be okay. So, if Lyubushkin's there, the last game they had Harley playing with Lindell, Bischel playing pretty much up with Dumba or Ceci. If you can get Lyubushkin back, you could go Lyubushkin, Harley, Lindell, Ceci, or Lindell, Bischel, some kind of combination. But yeah, if the Stars can pull for a top 4 defenseman, it would be paramount for this team, especially. And then if Miro Heiskanen does come back for the playoffs, and don't forget, the Stars have not moved him to LTIR. So that's a decision for another day. But if the Stars do get Heiskanen back, now you're looking at a situation like, last year with Florida, where you got Oliver Ekman-Larsson playing, bottom pairings, and he's a darn good defenseman. Or, I think about, David Savard in Tampa playing 6 when they made the cup runs. You've got to have that deep decor. Dallas may have that possibility if Heiskanen comes back and Jim Nill does swing a trade.
Bruce, great stuff, man. Enjoy the tour of the college and enjoy some time off.
Hey, thank you guys. Always appreciate it. And hopefully, I hope we see you guys down here in June. I want to see you again.
Actually, let me ask you one more, Bruce. How is Four Nations in the U.S.? Is it garnered any interest yet?
It hasn't picked up a ton of speed yet because, I mean, quite frankly, just speaking from the Stars' point of view, everyone was so, Heiskanen gets hurt and everybody's focused on, Sagan's out, Heiskanen's out. We just lost Nils Lundqvist for the rest of the year. So it was really just on getting to the Four Nations, but it's about to pick up because we got 3 Finns on the Finnish team. I'd be shocked if Jake Ottinger doesn't get a start for Team USA. And I fully expect that Canada-US game in Montreal to get everybody in the hockey world fired up about what's about to happen.
Yeah, it should be great. Awesome stuff, man. Appreciate it, Bruce.
Appreciate it, boys.
There you go. That's Bruce Levine joining us from Dallas. I wouldn't sleep on the Stars, especially without. Now, when your GM says month to month, yeah, like that's, come on. He's done for the rest of the regular season. So he's out for the final third of the year. And I think that's a team that's, they're one of the top teams in the NHL, no question. And so you don't want to just waste it and say, hey, we can't go on a deep run. Let's try to make something happen here. Now, it might not be as big of a splash. I think Seth Jones is $7 million. No one's going to think that's a bad contract. I really don't. I think people would look at that and say, hey, I would take Seth Jones for, like, if he was on the free agent market and got $7 million for 5 years, people would be like, oh, okay, no problem. So if you can get Chicago to eat some, and honestly, the way that organization's going, I won't be surprised, because keep in mind, the floor keeps going up, Brownie.
Yeah.
In 3 years, the floor is going to be what the ceiling is now.
Well, and he's a big guy that gets around the ice well. And, who doesn't need a right-handed defenseman or just a top 4 defenseman? They're not easy to find. And it's going to continue to change as teams get back to playing, right? There's going to be more injuries and more situations that are going to pop up that are going to increase the demand for lots of different players. So yeah, it's going to be kind of exciting coming down the stretch, depending on, who's available and who's hurt. You look, I think if, you look at Boston, or sorry, not Boston, but Chicago, if they are going to move some of those pieces, is he the only guy? Like, is there a Bertuzzi? Is there other pieces of veteran guys there that maybe add value to some other teams? Be interesting to see.
Quick break. When we come back, we got 5 questions and more. Jason Gregor, Sean Brown with you. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. It's the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada, with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
A direct truth about the new year. It's a great time to make a change for the better. Like eating salad, day after day after day after day. A direct truth about your electricity bill? You can make a change you'll want to stick with. Switch to Direct Energy on a 2-year plan and save up to 30% off the rate of last resort. Terms apply. See directenergy.ca for details.
Customers are free to purchase natural gas services or electricity services from a retailer of their choice. For a list of retailers, visit ucahelps.alberta.ca or call toll-free in Alberta 310-4822.
New Edge Construction wants you. We are hiring for several positions. Join a leading civil construction group in the Edmonton region. A strong team, competitive wages, retention bonuses, and current model equipment are what awaits you at New Edge. Go to newedgeconstruction.com. That's NUEDGE construction.com.
Join a leading civil construction group in the Edmonton region. Start your career now. Go to newedgeconstruction.com.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta. DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends. Swing by in February as the 2024 model clearout continues. Cash in on rebates of up to $9,000 or access finance rates as low as 0%. The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Can Torque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantorque.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.445. Welcome back, Gregor, Brown, Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Gregor, if Jim Nill can get a defenseman and the Oilers can't, wouldn't that be a big blow to Stan Bowman from Freddie? Yeah, I think the Oilers went out and John Klingberg was their first get, right? Edmonton, I don't think, is in this situation to get Seth Jones because, Miro Heiskanen and Dallas, up until the Heiskanen injury, wouldn't have been going swinging big either. I'm just saying because they lost Heiskanen, I think that, now you change and you kind of have to adapt to it a little bit. So would Seth Jones come in Edmonton? I'm not sure he'd come here, to be honest. Not every player in the league wants to play in Canada. They just don't.
Who was it? Was it Frank Saravelli that was talking about Gibson that wanted to come here? He had a no trade.
It was Friedman, I think, who had mentioned.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but yeah, that Edmonton was, a team that would be interested. Well,
so has it changed though?
Well, of course it has because the Oilers are winning, but there's still some guys who don't want to play in Canada. So it's on Edmonton.
Yeah. Or
they don't want to play in Toronto. They don't want to play in
Canada.
Okay. Right. And that's fine. So I don't think Seth Jones is one of those guys who's, wants to play in Canada.
Didn't he?
Yeah, well, didn't have a great experience here because, it wasn't an NHL player. So, but they if you think you're an NHL player, even though you're not an NHL player, well, then you got a real bad experience, right?
True. Don't we all think we're players? Hey?
Well, no. Well, you're right. Some do, but
I think we all have the hope.
Yeah, you probably do. Well, guys who are close, yeah, you're right. I think there's a lot of delusional people. Geez, if the coach didn't cut me in midget AAA, I'd have made it.
Yeah, I hear that story a lot.
Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick, and it's the final days of the Brick's Family and Friends sale where you can make massive savings, including 25% off sofas, love seats, chairs, sectionals, and more right now at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys. Question number 1. Connor McDavid's getting on the line with Sam Reinhart and Mitch Marner at practice for the Four Nation face-off. Is this where you'd have him, or would you like to see him playing with others?
You know what? It's hard, man. That coach is in a tough spot, right? Because there's so much skill in trying to find, the right chemistry. Is going to be tough. And if you don't win, I mean, everyone's going to be criticizing, but, selfishly, I think what we all want to see is McKinnon and McDavid, right? Just how electric and explosive they are. I mean, how cool would it be to see that, 2 guys that play at that pace?
Yeah.
I think anyone. So yeah, he's the guy I like to see just selfishly, whether it would actually work chemistry wise, but who knows? But the one thing
that's if it wouldn't work. That's what
exactly. I
Yeah.
was just gonna say. I mean, everybody's got to check their ego, and everyone's gonna have to adjust their game. Those good players just know how to play anyway.
Like Lemieux and Gretzky played very well together. I'm sure McKinnon, McDavid. Like, I hope we get to see it at times. I know people, but they're on the power play. Yeah, but the power play is basically you get set up in the zone. It's a lot more stationary work.
Yeah,
right. It's quick. It's great. Sure, but I want to see McDavid and McKinnon off the rush together. I understand why the coach separates them. And I actually think Marner and Reinhart, like Reinhart scored 58 goals last year, really smart player. Mitch Marner's more of a passer, right? So, we'll see how they work, but they're smart players, right? Like they're all very smart. So, I don't see an issue with it. I'm not sure there's a great forechecker there. That's the only thing that's
Marchand. Would he be a guy?
No, I don't think Marchand's there anymore at this stage of his career. The other guy, honestly, if I look at the team who I think is best suited to play with McDavid, I think it's Brandon Hagel.
Really? I don't know if I haven't seen him enough.
Skilled enough, very smart, but just relentless motor. He's kind of like a Zach Hyman.
Yeah.
For people who don't watch him.
I just thought maybe Marchand could maybe add that to his game.
Yeah,
I would add that to his game.
Marchand, I think, is just kind of past the
gritty rad.
No, he's still there a little bit, but I'm not sure he's a top 6 guy. Yeah. Well, and I shouldn't say on Edmonton he could be. He's more of a complimentary guy on this team. Like now we're talking best of the best. Like he's not better than Reinhart or Marner. I guess I'll just put it that way.
But I don't see any of these guys having does McKinnon care that McDavid's carrying the puck up the ice? Does McDavid care that McKinnon is carrying up the ice?
Like Draisaitl and McDavid seem to play pretty well together.
Yeah.
Totally with you.
Question number 2. The Oilers right now have 4 players with 15 goals on the season, at least the usual suspects, I'd say. When we get to game 82, how many players will have reached the mark?
The 15-game mark. Well, Corey Perry's going to score 3 more goals, so that'll be 1 for sure. That's a good question, man. There's not a lot of other options. I would think Jeff Skinner can get 5 goals, and he's basically on pace for 15. And now, if they acquire a new player, is it only goals with Edmonton that would count? I would assume so. So, yeah, honestly, guys, I don't know if I see anybody else other than those 2. That's Adam Henrique, maybe. Although, no, you know what? I'll say 3 because I think Evan Bouchard, at some point, is going to score a power play goal.
You think Bouchard's going to get to 20?
No, 15.
Oh, 15.
Yeah.
What's he at? He's at 10 now?
9.
Oh, he's at 9. Yeah, that's Skinner. Oof. You think Skinner's going to get?
I said Skinner.
You think he's going to get 5?
Bouchard. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Perry's what, at 12?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll go with. Perry. I hope Skinner does. Like I said, I'm a fan of his, and I hope he can continue to play the game that the right way and continue to build confidence in his coach, because I think his skill and ability is something that's they're gonna need. And yeah, I'll go with. Bouchard. He's got that cannon, so yeah, I'll go with Perry, Skinner, Bouchard.
Question number 3. Go to the Super Bowl yesterday. Outside of Jalen Hurts, you got to pick one player. Who would have been your Super Bowl MVP?
I'll go with what's his name? The guy that had the interception there. Was it DeJean?
Yeah, DeJean.
DeJean. Yeah. Yeah. I think early, he set the tone, and they really never looked back after that. Right? It's just the momentum that they got off of his defensive play there. So I'll go with him.
Yeah, it's a good question, Cons, but you can't go to the D line because they were just so
as
good
a whole.
But yeah, it would probably have to be DeJean, but he wasn't really close. So no, I think, the MVP, Cinco guy, it's his position. I get why quarterbacks win it most of the time. They have the ball in their hands the most, so they have most opportunities to do it. So yeah, I can't think of anybody else. It's a real serious contender.
Question number 4. Of those 2 teams, who do you think is more likely to return to the big game next year?
Well, at this moment, it's Philly for sure. They're only they got 2 guys off the roster that are going to lose, and they were clearly the better team. So today, but let's talk to me at the start of the season and see if the Chiefs make the needed additions that they do need, because there's no question they got to improve their offensive line 100%, and I think they need to get a little bit more speedy playmakers outside of Worthy?
I'm hoping KC. I like everything about them. I like the quarterback. I like the whole Kelsey, Taylor Swift. I think it's good for the league. So I'm going to go with KC.
And final question for you guys. If you could pick the Super Bowl halftime show next year, who would you pick?
There was nothing. I don't think it was even close when they had, what was it? Drake, Snoop, Eminem.
Was Drake part of that?
Wasn't he part of
No, Dr. Dre.
Yeah, Dre, not Drake.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. But I'm going to go with Chris Stapleton and like Justin Timberlake, like a combination, right? Where you have, so like those two kind of appeal to a lot of different, generations of kids, women, and I've seen them perform together. So I kind of like it when they have that type of,
yeah. Well, Timberlake was just there recently, right? In 18, I think it was, or 19.
Was he?
Yeah. So I don't think he would come back that quick. I could be wrong. It's a good question, man. Kendrick Lamar, I know I read online, there's lots of, well, it's kind of typical the people that didn't like it are people that really aren't rap fans. But if you actually go and look at all the symbolism in his show, and a lot of undermining of what was going on. Like there was a lot of strong messages in that halftime show, lots of them. I personally am not the biggest Kendrick Lamar fan, but just because it's not that I dislike him. I just don't listen to his music a whole bunch, but that doesn't mean he isn't good. I would see who, because you think like who's been lately? Usher, Rihanna, then they had Dre and Snoop and all those guys.
50 Cent?
The Weeknd. Well, 50 Cent, he was part of that, wasn't he? Oh, maybe, no, he made a brief appearance. Cons, who did 50 Cent show? Was he there too for a brief, like one?
Yeah, he was, okay. He made an appearance.
Yeah, he was there. So, it's a good question, man. You know what they could do? They could do a combination of just all the Grammys new song artists from last year. Like this year right now. You could put a combination of a few of them.
I like the collage.
Put Chappelle Roan in there. Throw in Benson Boone, Shabuzi, and just make it like a Young Guns.
That'd be cool.
Halftime show. Cons, who would you do?
Going the other way. Go some old guys. We talked about it on Fantasy Frenzy earlier today, and the one that was brought up, and I think they kind of had a resurgence from a song that appeared in Stranger Things, Metallica. They've never done it before. They're from the Bay Area, California band.
Okay.
I mean, who doesn't like Metallica? The songs you could start it off with. Yeah. For Whom the Bell Tolls, Enter Sandman. Like one of those two songs at a Super Bowl. I think that would be a real good one. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of good young artists out there that you could try to spotlight. But I think go back to a rock band. It's been hip hop and pop for a little while. I think we got to go back to rock for one performance.
All right, well that's fair.
I like just the fact that they bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, and Metallica appeals to everybody. Yeah, that would be cool. Never thought of that.
Hey guys, artists have to pay for the halftime show, so it really limits their appearance. No, well, they don't pay. They get about $1,000, right? But like, look at Kendrick Lamar. He gained 1 million followers on Instagram since doing the show. 1 million in less than 24 hours. He signed his tour expanded to Europe. So don't for a second convince yourself that they're paying to do this. This is a business thing for sure. And it helps because lots of them want to do it because it's massive exposure. Massive. And that's why you chuckle and you can say, I'm sorry to say it, but you can see, especially in the US, you can see some of the racial undertones and you go online and no surprise, you see it, a bunch of white guys all upset because of Kendrick Lamar and they didn't understand it. And I'm like, well, educate yourself because you should actually, I got to find the guy's post. He did a whole long, like really in depth of the symbolism and a lot of the wording and what it meant and stuff like that. And Kendrick Lamar has a history of doing that anyway. So I don't, you can never suggest for a moment that it's not a business decision by these artists because it is for sure. Right. And obviously you want ones that are like Kendrick Lamar just won, right? Quite a few of the big awards. He's pretty popular worldwide and he's pretty good, but it's cost is not prohibitive for the stars who go there. Trust me. they all want to be part of the Super Bowl because it's that big. Yeah, like make no mistake. I think they get paid like $1,000, whatever. But then they pay for other things, but they trust me, they make so much more money after the fact from this. It's a no-brainer business decision for them to do.
So you like the show?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't watch it live. I just kind of watched it afterwards because we were on the way to my son's game, so I didn't see it live. But I read it, then I taped the game, so I went and watched the halftime show today. And I like the I like the show factor that goes into it. But I'll be honest, I had read the article outlining the stuff first.
Yeah.
So then when I watched, it's like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So I could see maybe in real time if you don't. But then I'm always like, well, if you don't understand something, maybe take a second and breathe rather than be like, this sucks because I didn't get it.
Yeah. What about the commercials? Were the commercials any good? Because that was always a big thing.
Most of them are always out early now.
No.
So yeah, it's not as big of a thing anymore. And it's kind of funny. People still pay the big money, but most of them don't get talked about nearly as much because everybody sees them beforehand. So it's not like, oh my goodness, I got to watch for it. And I wonder if they'll go back to that to realize, maybe we're not, but they probably get their bang for their buck just 3 days earlier because they release it. And here's the new commercial and it's out for 3 days and then on everybody's social media feed and then a new one comes out.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even tell you one commercial this year.
Well, we don't even get the feed up here anyway, right?
But you can get them all online. I just didn't go bother to look for them.
Yeah.
Right. Like the Stitch commercial, I think was the big one, right? Stitch in that movie. Is it Stitch and Lilo, Stitch and CeeLo, something like that?
I didn't even see that. I just seen the Jeep one.
Lilo and Stitch.
Lilo and
Stitch. Stitch it was like they pretended they were back at the game and Stitch popped up on the field and they were chasing him around.
Yeah.
The
little blue one.
Yeah. I don't even
like a blue gremlin almost.
I've never seen the movies. But the Totino's pizza rolls commercial is pretty funny. I don't know if you guys saw that.
No idea.
Chasmo. No. Tim Robinson from I Think You Should Leave did it. A little weird, but it was funny.
Did anyone make any money? Connor, any bets? Seems like you could bet on everything and anything.
Me and the group bet. We went 2 for 6.
All right.
Yeah. We were on Play Alberta. We had Kendrick Lamar not to wear a bandana, and we had Jalen Hurts thanking God.
Oh.
Those were the 2 we got right. Gatorade wrong, anthem length wrong.
Like you guys in the blue Gatorade, that was the worst bet of all time. I told you that straight up. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Well, we took red.
Oh, you took
with
red?
the group.
And what was it? Wasn't.
It was yellow.
Yeah.
Was it yellow? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like predominantly yellow lots of the time.
Isn't it amazing just what you can bet on? Like,
it's
incredible.
So yeah. No. Yeah. Well, you guys went red even. Okay. But that's funny. You wanted the Eagles to win. Why would you bet red? I don't get it.
It was a group decision.
But didn't you guys pick the Eagles to win?
We only did prop bets with ours.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Yeah, we stayed away from the proposal bet as well.
Well, that would have been there was no money on if you bet no. Like there was no chance they would do that. Like none.
Travis Kelce should have done it anyways.
No.
Taking the headline back.
Wow. No, I wouldn't do it. I bet you those people are in the spotlight so much. That's probably the one time in your life you want to be out of the spotlight.
What'd you think of some of their getup? Right? You know how they always show them coming in? Like some of the outfits were just like, I don't know. They were just okay. Like Kelsey's outfit, like it just.
Oh, you mean like his suit before the game?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't watch any of that.
Did you see any of that, Connor? Like some of them were just.
Yeah.
Little,
dumb.
Yeah. You guys are like the red carpet boys.
I'm not a fashion guy, but that was a little.
He looked like
what was he wearing?
Star of an adult film in like the 1970s.
Yeah.
It's like a retro look.
Oh yeah, the retro's in, man. Like, was he wearing like velvet? Did he have like a vest on with no sleeves?
But it had the big collar.
Oh yeah, that's in right now, man.
The yellow glasses, like yellow tinted.
Yeah, the yellow tinted glasses.
That's in. You know that it's in.
Well, it's in. Oh yeah, I know the big collar's coming back.
Is it coming back?
Oh yeah.
I'm so out of the fashion. Really?
Oh yeah. Now that doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that like. There's certain fashion trends that have come in like, hey, we could have a whole show about certain trends that are popular. And I'm like, why? Like the high-waisted jeans on ladies. Like, honestly, it's the worst.
The high-waisted jeans?
Yeah.
You like the lowrider?
Better than the high-waisted ones. 100%. I don't care. You could be a female with the nicest looking tush and you get in those things and all of a sudden you got a horse butt. It doesn't matter. They all look longer. It's just like, what are you doing?
Really? I don't mind it.
No. Well, that's okay to ever teach
Yeah.
their own.
Yeah.
There you go. Can't believe you just said your wife has a horse butt, but whatever.
I know. Hey, I didn't say that. I did not say that.
Brownie, have a good one. We will chat with you on Monday. Canada, US, who's winning Saturday?
Oh, I don't even know. That's a tough one. I don't even know. I'll go with Canada just because, but I'm going to say it's going to be a tight game.
Well, the great part is the
game.
team that loses Saturday is probably going to meet again on Thursday, and they'll be like, that's what, like Saturday, Thursday, those are going to be the games. Like, I hope I'm right because, like, I don't know, a Finland matchup in the final doesn't excite me.
No.
Sweden a little bit, but Canada US is, I think,
That's
the
the
final that
only
most
exciting.
people want,
Yeah.
especially nowadays, man. You want to see it.
I'll say it'll go to overtime. I just hope it goes to overtime.
Let's get to the Command Sports 1440 update brought to you by E-Well, your partner in power since 1975. For all your electrical needs, go to ewel.ca.
Team Canada captain Sidney Crosby participated in the team's first practice today and told reporters he's good to go for the Four Nations face-off. Crosby worked on a line with Mark Stone and Nathan McKinnon during the session. Meanwhile, Connor McDavid entering the top line with Sam Reinhart and Mitch Marner. Canada's tournament gets going on Wednesday, 6 o'clock, when they take on Sweden. In the association, Luka Doncic set to make his debut for the LA Lakers after battling a left calf strain. Lakers hosting the Jazz tip-off 8:30. You also have the Timberwolves taking on the Cavs, Magic Hawks, the Spurs in Washington, Heat host the Celtics, Warriors in Milwaukee. Ending, you got the Mavericks taking on the Kings. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
It's the season for love, and you're about to fall hard for the vehicle of your dreams. Presenting the outstanding 2025 XC90 from Volvo Cars Edmonton. Right now, you can lease your 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $4,600. Or finance a 2025 XC60 from 1.49% and save $1,500. All while being deeply infatuated by the newly upgraded, highly attractive body and wheel design. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Shop like an insider with the Bricks Friends and Family Sale. Save up to 25% off sofas, love seats, matching chairs, and sectionals. When you buy more, you save more. Up to an extra $1,000 off select major kitchen appliances. Plus, save up to 20% off bedroom and dining furniture. Save up to $600 off big screen TVs. And up to 25% off TV stands, fireplaces, and wall units. Sleep better with mattresses up to 40% off. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
New Edge Construction wants you. We are hiring for several positions. Join a leading civil construction group in the Edmonton region. A strong team, competitive wages, retention bonuses, and current model equipment are what awaits you at New Edge. Go to newedgeconstruction.com. That's NUEDGE construction.com.
Join a leading civil construction group in the Edmonton region. Start your career now. Go to newedgeconstruction.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by the PWHL Takeover Tour, featuring a matchup between the Toronto Scepters and the Ottawa Charge, Sunday, February 16th at Rogers Place. Premium seating is now available. Check out the available suites, theater boxes, and loge tables. Head to rogersplace.com/PWHL.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Rolling through a lovely Monday afternoon. Please turn your lights on. driving home last night from our hockey game. Late, by the way. Well, late for the kids. It was 9 o'clock was when the game ended. So we're on the hen day at like 9:20. No joke. From leaving Terwilliger to go to the hen day, going north, 4 different vehicles, no rear lights on at like 9:30 at night. I tried the plate thing, flash your lights behind them. No, nothing. Clueless. Please turn your lights on, folks. Your front lights, automatic lights don't mean your back lights are on, just so you know. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, and it's Four Nations Week. It's going on Wednesday. But that doesn't mean there's not a shortage because there's lots to talk about. Also, tomorrow is officially the free agent signing day in the CFL. And we'll be running down the list of players that the Elks have ready to officially sign tomorrow. Secondary, defensive line, offensive line. Oof. It's a pretty big offseason for Ed Hervey and the Elks. They had to improve, there's no question, and they got some established players, improved their D-line, which was needed, their O-line. One addition that they've made, which is going to kind of change. Corte will likely move to the guard position with David Beard coming back in. You look at the secondary position, they get Trey Ford's twin brother, Terrell Ford, who's really good. And there's just the safety from Toronto, Metchitz, they got in. He's good. So they re-signed, they got both their linebackers from last year. It's like defense is shaping up. So the Elks should be an improved team for sure. We can talk about that tomorrow as well. But let's get to the spec report now, brought to you by GS Construction. And hey, they just remind you, please, this time of year, they want to get home just like you. So drive safe with caution through all construction zones. GS Construction, Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet joins us. Spec, how you doing?
Pretty fair, Jay. Just looking at all those lines coming out of Toronto or Montreal, I should say. Lots going on. I'm kind of getting a little jack for this Four Nations tournament.
That should be good. I was always one, you know what? Yeah, I get that the other countries aren't in it, but whatever. That doesn't lessen the fact that I think when Canada plays Sweden or Canada plays US or Canada plays Finland, that they're going to be going their best. So, we haven't seen that in a while, so it should be good. McDavid gets Reinhardt and Marner. Not too bad of line mates for him to play with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a few things, right? First of all, I don't care who they're playing against. I just want to watch all those Canadian guys play with each other, right? I want to watch a power play with Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid, Reinhardt, and Makar. Like, how's that for a power play? I don't care if they're playing, Croatia, man. I just want to watch the Canadians play. So it's been so long, right? It's just been too long since we've seen best on best. And you can find a lot of cracks and holes and no Russia and blah, blah, blah. I'm just happy to see the best Canadian team, and whoever else is playing, it's just a bonus for me.
Yeah. Well, hey, they won't be seeing Russia in the Olympics either good. Right now. So, it's not going to change. You will see Leon Draisaitl there. And before we get to Four Nations spec, Leon Draisaitl scored 2 goals on Friday.
Yep.
Now has 40 on the season. It's his 6th 40-goal season. The only other active players, Matthews has 6, Stamkos has 7, Ovi has 13. But I dug a little deeper, spec. Only 6 players in NHL history have scored 47 consecutive years. And Draisaitl would have done that if it wasn't for COVID, because he had 31 and 56, which obviously translates to a full season. And like his goal scoring prowess, I think still kind of gets underappreciated a little bit, just how good he's been and how consistent he's been.
Oh, listen, just because you score 40 goals once, it doesn't make you 40-goal scorer. You got to score 40 goals, 3-4 times, and then I'm going to say, okay, that guy's a genuine 40-goal scorer. Jeff Skinner's had a couple 35-goal seasons. I would call him a 30-goal scorer. Leon Draisaitl has scored 50 enough times that he is a 50-goal scorer in everybody's books. He's a 50-goal, 100-point guy, and that to me is the very best player. He's not just a goal scorer. He's sometimes he has more assists. He's an all-around player. He obviously wins draws. If you needed him to kill penalties, he would. This guy is he's so much better than anybody thought he'd be when he got drafted. It's not even funny. Like, they thought he'd be good. He's great, right? He's a Hall of Fame player, Jay. That's what he is.
Oh God, yeah, no, like a first ballot Hall of Fame player.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
He's being dominant. Like in that game spec, there was 4 superstars, but 3 really stood out. And funny enough, McDavid wasn't one of the. He was the one who didn't.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, Connor, right now. Like he's, if you look at his games, the other night he had, I forget what game it was. Was it against Toronto? He had 9 shots on goal and I think he had 1 assist. So you can't look at his game and say, he's not involved or he's not playing well or he's not, 9 shots on goal. Guys go entire careers without getting 9 shots on goal in a game. But it's not happening for him. The last few games before the break, it really wasn't happening for him. And I know Oilers fans get impatient. They expect 3 points a night, and he wasn't getting it. He didn't have any points the last game, and everybody else did. So it's kind of funny. Like, did you see, when you come away from those last couple games, McDavid, not that productive. But remember, who set up the 2 goals in overtime on that little road trip that they won both games? Oh, it was 97 both nights. But it's kind of not. He had a slow end of the first end of that week, didn't he, Jay?
Yeah, like he hasn't had kind of like the McDavid dominant games. The Toronto game, he played really well. You're right. He just didn't finish. And then on the road, he had what was it, Detroit or St. Louis game where he had all 3 points and they won. Or Chicago, one of the two. Anyway, like he's obviously still had games where he's McDavid, but I found it when McKinnon, Makar, Draisaitl, McDavid was the one who shone the brightest of the 4, and that rarely happens. And it doesn't matter because it's regular season, but he wasn't an impact guy on that night when the other 3 were.
I know, and that's just so rare. Like that's just. Especially when he gets in with a group of guys that are all stars. McDavid, he's very competitive. And those are the nights where he makes sure to stand up and be counted. Hey, you're never going to catch me criticizing Connor McDavid's productivity here. For whatever reason, he's had a couple games lately where the points weren't there. But don't ever think for a second that I'm going to come out and say, come on, McDavid, get going or play better or try harder. Don't ask me why it's not going in for him right now, but it's not. I'm not criticizing the player, Jay. He's too good a player to criticize at this point.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not criticizing him at all. Just pointing out the fact that wasn't there. What'd you make of Chris Knobloch's decision to make the goalie change after the period and not after the second goal?
Well, I think 2 things. It's pretty respectful to a starter to do it between periods, right? It's respectful to say, I'm not making you make the skate a shame here. We're going to get through the period. But I also thought it showed, he didn't defer to Skinner and say, oh, you're my starter. Oh, we got a break coming. I'm not pulling you. I'm not, I'm going to defer to the fact that you're our guy. I love the fact that he said, sorry, pal, you're having a bad game. 2 bad goals. We're going to put Pickard in. So I think, nobody's bulletproof, Jay. Nobody gets away without, accountability. And let's call a spade here. Stu Skinner wasn't any good in that first period, and he got replaced. And I know there's no Oilers fans that have any problem with that. I've known a lot of coaches who'd probably go back to that guy in the second period. I thought that I give Knobloch credit. I give him credit for sitting his starter down, man. And it's not a great way to go into the break if you're Stu Skinner, but let's see how that pans out.
Well, I don't know, if he really loses that much sleep over it. I think it was more to do with first period's cumulative than it was one game. That's how I view it. And it was because Stu Skinner, I wouldn't say he had bad 2 goals, but he made 2 good saves to start. Then he allowed 2 horrible goals. Then he actually made 2 good saves after the fact, including the glove save late in the first. And, his coach acknowledged it. And I thought he might, I'm going to let him battle. But I think he's going to hey, you've let in too many first period goals. This is going to be my message. We got to limit those in the first period. Yeah. So basically it's like, maybe you got to be a little bit more focused.
No, I totally agree with you. I think it was a coach that said, oh, for Pete's sakes, we're down 2-0 again. I'm sick and tired of chasing every game. I'm sick of a team / goalie who's given me a 2-3-0 deficit too many times. I had enough of it, and I don't play. I admire the coach for putting his foot down. This is a bit of an issue here. They've been chasing games for about a month and a half, 2 months here, and you can't take that in the playoffs. You're not going anywhere going down 2-0 every night. So, they've got, what do they got left, Jay? They got about 27 games maybe to play. That's one of the things that has to come out of their game. These slow starts and the average goaltending early, that's got to come out of their game if they're going anywhere.
Yeah. Do you think they have any interest in Gibson?
Nah, I don't. I don't. An older goalie going to a new team for the first time in his life, leaving California, coming up here, all of those, no, I don't like it. I'm not saying you can't. Let's drill down here, Jay. You're not going to improve on Skinner. You're not going out and finding a better goalie than Skinner, in my opinion. I don't think John Gibson's a better goalie than Skinner. What you're really doing here is you're improving on Pickard, and you're bringing in a 1-1A situation. So I guess you could do that. I mean, if that's how it turns out, let's see what happens. There's how many games for the trade deadline, Jay? Maybe 10?
7 for the Oilers.
Okay, 7. I think there's about 5 games here to solidify this decision. Stan Bowman said to Pierre LeBrun right before that Colorado game, I like my goaltending. I don't think I'm doing anything. If it doesn't solidify in the next 4 or 5 games, he might change his mind. I don't think you're going to get a better goalie than Stu Skinner. I think all you're going to do is get a better goalie than Pickard. And I'm going to say to you, how's Pickard's record been lately?
Oh, yeah. Like Pickard's fine. Well, the thing was, even Stu Skinner, like obviously the last game, but if you look at his overall numbers, he had a .918 save percentage and a 2.29 goals against in his previous 21 starts prior to Friday. And so I don't
How are you getting better than that?
Yeah. Well, the other guys that are better than him are all taken. So we will have Kevin Woodley on coming up right away. I'm going to ask him, John Gibson also hasn't been in the playoffs he hasn't won a series since he beat the Oilers in 2017. The last time he was in the playoffs was 2018, and the Ducks got swept 4 straight, and he hasn't been in the playoffs since. And the thing about the goaltending position that we've learned here recently, you can have a good goalie, but if the environment that he plays in front of him isn't that good, it ain't going to matter. Ask Winnipeg. They got the best goalie in the league, and they've been rolled 3 years in a row. So, you know what? He can play better, sure, but so can the system. And, Edmonton's got a pretty good system, and Skinner's numbers are good. The one area the team has to improve, and that Skinner also has to improve on, is scoring chances off the rush. They give up way too many high danger. They don't give up a ton of scoring chances off the rush overall, but high danger, which are obviously the ones you want to limit, they're still 24th in the league, and that's not good.
No, and I think that describes Skinner to me. Sure, we can find outliers. He won that game 6 against Dallas last year. What were the shots on goal that night, Jay?
34 to 10.
40 to 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. So Skinner wins that game.
10, yeah.
So my point is, you can find a game. He's stolen the odd game. But in general, big picture, when the Oilers play well, Stu Skinner rewards them with good goaltending and they win. When the Oilers play poorly, there's a lot of nights where Stu Skinner isn't going to carry you to a win. He doesn't steal a lot of games. I'll say that about him. He's not a guy that stands in his head and steals games like he did against Dallas. That's an outlier game for him. But I want to say to you, Jay, there's no such thing as a goalie that's going to win you a Stanley Cup if you don't play well, right? If the Oilers give up a million odd man rushes and scoring off the rush and high grades chances off the rush, I don't care who's in goal. They're not going to win. And Stu Skinner has proven to us here that when they play well, he gives them more than enough goaltending to win. Took them to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup last year. That is solid, large sample evidence of a goalie who's good enough to win with. So I'm not on the go out and get a goalie side. I think you do better to go out and make your team better, get the left winger you want, get the defenseman you want. That'll make your goaltending better if you get the right guys up front.
Spec, we will chat a little CFL and some more Four Nations tomorrow. Have yourself a great day.
CFL, I better bone up on my CFL. Give me a hint.
The Elks, buddy. So all their free agents that they've officially verbally agreed to all get official tomorrow. So,
okay.
So we'll be chatting on that.
I'll study up.
All right, buddy. Get some homework done. You have nothing else to do, so there you go.
No, I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. All right. Thanks, Jay.
There you go. It's Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. When we come back, Kevin Woodley will join us. We'll talk Four Nations. Like, is Hill the obvious? Like, I got to be thinking most of us, Hill's the obvious starter for Canada, right? It's got to be. What about Sweden? How should they attack him? We'll talk on that. Maybe a little John Gibson. Something tells me Oilers fans might want to hear about John Gibson. We'll get to that when we return to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hey, did you know you can get a free drink today?
Nice. I love free drinks.
Yeah, Booster Juice called your name today on the Booster Rewards app. So you get a free smoothie, booster mixer, or fresh juice.
Well then, why are we still sitting here just talking about it?
Watch for your name on the Booster Rewards app and social media. 2 names every day, all February long. Must be a Booster Rewards app member. For complete details, visit boosterjuice.com.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
For years now, we've been warning Edmontonians on the hazards of our stormwater facilities. While they may appear to look like still ponds, there is moving water beneath the surface, which makes the ice dangerously. The unpredictability of stormwater facilities makes them treacherously unsafe for all winter activities, even walking. So think twice. Don't go on the ice. A safety message from EPCOR.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble.
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
From the casinos of Vegas to the bingo halls of Leduc, everybody wants a piece of Lady Luck. And what thanks do I get? It's like I don't even...
There's no such thing as luck. If you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends. Swing by in February as the 2024 model clearout continues. Cash in on rebates of up to $9,000 or access finance rates as low as 0%. The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
The moments we need healthcare are some of our most vulnerable. You deserve a system that supports you. Our healthcare system can't wait any longer.
Visit rebuildourhealthcare.ca to learn more.
Portions of this hour brought to you by EPCOR. Stormwater ponds in Edmonton are designed to move water and runoff from streets and sidewalks, making them unsafe for winter activities. Instead, head to a community league or city rink that's safe for you, your family, and friends. Think twice and stay off the ice. Learn more at epcor.com/winter safety.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
I've 27. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Connor Halley with you, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And it's time for our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment, and they're big sponsors of the upcoming Blades of Steel Pond Hockey Tournament that goes out at Cattail Crossing. It's the fourth annual. It goes Saturday, March 1st. So all of you who love a little pond hockey, and you can win some pretty good prizes. First place is 2G. So if you want in, check it out and look up just go to Cattail Crossing, or you can look up Blades of Steel Pond Hockey Tournament. Courtesy of Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment. As we welcome in from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com, Kevin Woodley joins us as always. Woodley, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I feel like maybe I should have a little bit of I should have brought my sunglasses. Let's just say there may be some bags under the eyes. We are digging deep right now to do what we do normally in the playoffs at NHL.com, but we're going to bring that to the Four Nations. So that means I got to break down film on all 12 goaltenders, because for a lot of teams, we really don't know who's starting. So that means having something ready to go on all of them. And I've watched a crap ton of video over the last 12 hours, my friend. And when I say 12 hours, I mean, I slept 2.5 last night. So we're nonstop.
Adin Hill's got to be the starting goalie for Canada, does he not?
I think so.
Yeah.
And yet, the goalie coach is the St. Louis Blues goalie coach, Dave Alexander. Does that play a role in it? Two of the
GM is the St. Louis GM too.
Right. Two of the assistant coaches are from Vegas. I honestly don't know. I'm fascinated to see. The good news for Canadian goaltending as a whole, Jason, is at this point of the season, there are 3 Canadians in the top 10 in adjusted save percentage. The bad news is they are Logan Thompson, Darcy Kemper, and Mackenzie Blackwood. So one of the 3 at the competition. As a matter of fact, I went and took a look at the numbers for the entire competition, like Four Nations face-off. And since January 1st, none of the Canadian goalies are actually above expected. They're all underwater. Based on those numbers, Montembeault at barely underwater, minus 0.1% is actually the best. Adin Hill at minus 0.7 and Jordan Binnington at minus 1.2. They are 55th and 59th out of 77 goaltenders in the NHL over that span. Not exactly going in with the hot hand. And yet, as Jimmy Howard told me this week, it's a very different thing to go in and play behind midseason, behind a best-on-best tournament. Now, he didn't play much with the Americans, but he's a part of that team in 2014 in Sochi, and we had a long conversation about it. He equated it to going from the American League to the NHL. It's less scrambly. Everything is done the way it's supposed to be. Guys are in position. Even though the other shooters are better, in some ways it's more structured and easier. So does that help a guy like Adin Hill more than a guy like Jordan Binnington? I honestly don't know. What's interesting is I do understand Canada hiding the decision a little bit in the short term, because there are such differences in how they play and how I would attack them that I wouldn't want the opposition to have more time to build a pre-scout. So I actually I get it. They're such different goaltenders. And, like I said, Montembeault seems like the odd man out, even based on practice today. But statistically speaking, at least for the last month, he's been the better of the 3.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. And I get why we found out, why you have to announce it earlier, but I always thought it was why Thompson wasn't on the team was a little odd to me. And so they went with reputation. We'll see. If the team plays well, it's probably not going to matter near as much. Environment does matter a little bit for goaltending for sure in a tournament like this, but it's a 1 game, and sometimes you need your goalie make a great save at a key time. So we'll see. Now, quickly to the Canucks. What's the latest on Demko?
Well, the latest is we don't know. And that's obviously going to cause consternation in this market. There's some reports that Rick Tocchet told us it wasn't the knee after the game, and they don't tend to share that information, Jason. So I'm going to take his word on that, because I think, last time this happened, it's not the first time since he came back that he's left the game early. Last time it was back spasms in Seattle. Tocchet came out and told the media right away that was the case. Don't speculate on it being the knee again. And he was back after missing a couple of more games. Sounds like this might be longer. I originally was thinking the break would be a bad thing for Thatcher because he was playing so well heading into that game. He looked like the old Thatcher. They had a game in San Jose where they really didn't show up, and the Sharks had almost 5 expected goals, and Thatcher had a shutout until the final minute, and then 1-2-1 in overtime. I think he saved almost 4.5 goals in that game. It was crazy. And that's the way he'd been playing for 4 or 5 starts in a row. Now, if you're the Canucks, you hope that the break is enough time for him to be back, because in addition to wanting to get him, reps and back to sort of peak of his powers as you head into the postseason, hopefully for the Canucks, they have 2 back-to-backs coming out of the break. Like, they go back-to-back twice in a row on the road coming out of the Four Nations break. And Kevin Lankin, of course, whether he plays or not, he's going to be busy with Finland. So the good news is he stayed sharp. The bad news is he doesn't get any rest, and they might need him right away. I don't think this is any more than a week-to-week injury and a couple of weeks at most. And if you're a Canucks fan, you hope it's just a week. And it doesn't cost Demko any of the momentum that he's built over the past 10 days to 2 weeks leading up to this injury. That's the other thing, because when he came back from the back injury, it felt like he was resetting again. And it looked like he found something, ironically, Jason, in that Edmonton game, where they kind of pumped him 6-2. I saw some things there in terms of early eyes and vision, leading movement, rotations and power. And it was like, oh, like that joke that Leonardo DiCaprio meme on the couch. Like, I know that guy. And he's been pretty much good ever since. So we'll see how much of a setback this is. Everybody thinks of the knee as soon as anything like this happens. But Talkett said it's not the knee, and there's another report today it's not the hip. So he's a goalie. He's a goalie. He missed 7 months. There's going to be a lot of minor body ailments. The hope, though, is that it's a shorter-term one.
Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com joins us. Now, Kev, last week I was chatting with you, and you'd sent me the numbers, looking at the Oilers game, and you were like, it's kind of surprising, but they were still 24th in high danger chances off the rush. Overall, at 5-on-5, you had them as 8th, really solid and team in front of the goalie, but and scoring chances off the rush are where more goals come from. And the Oilers did a really good job of eliminating those last year, but the high danger ones are a concern. Now, that's not what cost them against Colorado. Those are 2 saves Skinner should make all day long. I don't think anyone debates that by any stretch. I do want to get your thoughts, like the Makar goal. So Skinner comes out, he's challenging, and he beats him kind of in the triangle, right? On the short side. Skinner right away is like, I got to make that save. What didn't he do on that goal? Or what did he do?
You caught me off guard here. I don't have that one on the top of my head or be able to look at it. I was kind of looking more at Four Nations for this hit, Jason. I apologize for that.
No, I'll explain it to you very simple. So Makar comes in, he's stepping in from the blue line. Skinner comes out to the top of the crease, right? He catches with his left hand, and the shot goes just right here. You can see me right there, and Skinner's out to challenge. Yeah, but it wasn't one where like Skinner right away is like, I should make that save. So when you get beat there, what technically are you doing wrong? Because that's not a shot that usually should get beat on from far out.
So 2 things I would look at if I was breaking down the film. One, you said he comes out to the top of the crease. I want to see that he stopped and set. Because if you're moving, especially when you got a shooter like Makar, the tendency is going to be to come out at him a little bit. And if you're still in motion, that's never a good thing, right? Like, you do want to be set. You have better control. The second thing, and so kind of a weird phrase to use for this, but James Reimer always likes to use it. I think I've pulled it out with you before, is when you have an elite shooter loading up like that, and I'm assuming we're talking about a clear lane, no screen.
Yes, exactly.
There's a certain amount of anticipation that comes with that. And the word Reimer uses is quote unquote horny. You just get a little like, I gotta get that one. Like, and with that comes tension. And so what I would look for if I had that film in front of me was, does he widen out in the stance? And do the hands come back at all? Because that's usually where you see tension. And the 2 things, widening out in your stance in preparation for it, rather than sort of staying a little narrow and tall, which allows you to move down and into it and close the holes. Widening out in the stance, that tension leaves you a little stabby. And so the tendency can be, rather than track pucks into you and close and move into it, can be to get a little reachy with the arms, get a little, again, stabby, pushy with the arms because of that tension in there, especially if you pull your arms back and now your elbows are sort of behind or parallel to the plane of your body rather than out front where it's easier to close them off and tighten it up. Any type of tension in that regard, whether it's from stance or just wanting it too much because it's an elite shooter winding up, is where you're going to tend to have pucks that get through you, and not sort of close down and just track into it, reaching a little bit, quite often that drop to the ice when you get that tension, especially if you pitch forward a little bit with the chest, you will push with your knees and pull back with your chest. And again, the arms come back in that it's not one motion. It's not as clean into the puck. And that's where you end up opening up holes. You know, you can, especially a guy like Makar, your mind can be, oh man, he's going to go high glove. He's going to go high glove, or he's going to go high blocker. And so your first instinct might be to reach out there. And against a shooter like that, as soon as you reach one way, it's too late to come back and close the other way. So you want the hands to be out in front, and it's just more of a natural. You want to make it look easy. You want to make it a relaxed save. That's really easy for me to do or say in my office right now, looking at video. It's really hard to do when one of the best defensemen in the world's loading one up.
And I actually just watched it. It wasn't that long range. He's able to skate right in. He's inside the dot, just above the face-off dot. So inside the circle, excuse me, you know, the face-off circle, but it's just above the dot on the inside of it. So it's actually a pretty good shooting spot to shoot from. And that one, I guess, technically would be considered off of the rush because Makar comes in untouched after McKinnon came down the left side. So I want you to go watch it yourself, Kev, and then we'll extend a text exchange because I'm curious. The more I watch it, I was like, well, that was actually a better high-danger shooting chance than I thought, that he comes right inside the circle just above the dot. Now, there's no screen in front, and he was set to your earlier point. He wasn't moving. He was set on the play. So I'm curious once you see it, what you think.
I will say this. I will say this, too. Just one quick caveat without having watched it. But so often we critique the ones that go through a goaltender. You know, like you'll hear that phrase, nothing through you as a default. And that was something that came with a lot of blocking style goaltending 10 years ago. But sometimes we hear it. I've had this discussion with goalie coaches who have to have this fight with their head coaches. I went through 5 hole. It's a terrible goal if it goes to 5 hole. Well, you know what? If we're going to encourage them to default to the ice prematurely, if that's the one we can't give up, if we want them to just drop and close all the holes, then it's going to be at the expense of defending the perimeter of the net. And the perimeter of the net is where you need big saves. It's where guys are shooting these days. And so it's a really fine line. As much as everyone hates it, every time a puck goes through a goalie under the arm, it's like, it's cringy, or 5 hole. Everyone's like, nothing through you, nothing through you. Be really careful with that because sometimes the patience required to react and protect the outside of the net, the top corner, above the shoulder, by the ear, can be a little bit at the expense of closing the holes. And sometimes you have to live with those. Again, I haven't seen it, but it's one of those things that everybody cringes at, and sometimes unfairly, frankly.
Kevin Woodley from InGoal Magazine, NHL.com joins us. Kev, lastly, John Gibson's name, comes up in Edmonton. People are now. Do you think, because you can look at it, Gibson's having a pretty good year this year, but he hasn't had a good year for a few years. So, where do you come out on John Gibson?
He's having a really good year this year. Like, let's put an emphasis point on that. Like, he would statistically, his numbers are better, on the season as a whole, slightly better than anything that's going on with the Oilers right now. Like, he's having him and Dustall are both top 20 in the NHL in adjusted numbers right now. It's really good. And yet the caveat I would have is that even within the good, there are some things that have plagued him statistically that continue to plague him statistically. And we talked about this once, low slot line play. So that's pucks across the middle of the ice below the hash marks. And that's a number that, like, for the last number of years, he is very underwater on, like, significantly. It's actually one of his biggest sort of negative assets. Oh. And even in a great season, that numbers remain problematic. So if I'm the Oilers and I'm considering this, and hey, let's make this clear. This is me just doing some research, reacting to some of the reports, not me saying they should go make this move. I kind of want to know where I rank on low slot line plays. Well, the Oilers have given up 55, so 12th best in the league. But 7th best is 53. Like, they're in that neighborhood as a top 10 team defensively about giving up low slot line play. So, okay, we're pretty good at defending those. Even if that's a weakness of this guy, can we live with it? Well, the Oilers goalies have given up 18 on 55. If I were to take the math and Gibson's save percentage on those plays and plug it into what the Oilers have given up, you're looking at probably 24 goals. And now, of course, you cannot plug goalie A into team X and get an absolute. But this is the best we can do. Like, we can take a look at very specific microstats, how a goalie fares on them, whether a team gives them up. And then also, hey, Like, are you getting any more than what you're getting from your current guys on these things? And to get the total, you got to basically run it across all the stats. But for these one in particular, you're looking at 6 more goals roughly on the season.
Okay.
Not terrible. Not a huge number. Now, the other one that he struggled with this year that's a little more just this year is broken plays. And interestingly enough, a lot of broken plays come off low slot line attempts, right?
Right.
Funnel pucks through the middle of the ice, down below the hash marks, going to hit a leg, going to hit a skate, going to create a scramble. Oilers are a little more middle of the pack there. 122 they've given up this year. Skinner's plus 2.5. He's given up 20 on 82. Pickard's given up 9 on 36. He's -3 expected. But between the two of them, they're performing right around expected on those kind of shots. 29 goals total. With Gibson, based on the way he's performed so far, and listen, again, maybe Anaheim's defense is worse at boxing out or clearing out or preventing the second chances that result off broken plays. But at the end of the day, he's given up. You'd basically be looking at 13 more goals based on that.
So between those two, it's 19.
So yeah, between those two, you're talking about 19 more goals. So again, it's not just about what a guy's good. And listen, there are other things that Gibson's going to be better at that you're going to get a net savings compared to what's happening right now with your goaltenders. And I think the point is you have to take a look at all these things, right? And try and figure this out and understand that he's a good goalie now, or he's got things that he's done really well. It's not enough, right? You got to dig into the microstats and figure out, does he fit this team? You talk about rush chances. I didn't pull his rush numbers, but historically, having looked at it in the past, like Gibson's a pretty good rush goaltender. Again, until you get down to that low slot line. So if your guys are going to force the passes higher in the zone, Gibby plays with a ton of flow and feel. And he's incredibly athletic and he's explosive still. And it may not always be pretty, but he makes a lot of those types of saves. So if you're going to continue to be a bad rush team, and hey, actually quickly, Stu's improved significantly on rush chances this year compared to years past. Still not a strength, but he's gotten a lot better at it statistically. So again, you'd need to look at that. You might get a more net positive out of Gibson off the rush but I would imagine if you're the Oilers, you'd prefer to just clean up the rush. And maybe there's personnel. I heard Spec on earlier, fix other things if you're going to make a trade rather than worry about the goaltending. Well, is there a move you can make that helps you, not give up as many rush chances? There's a defenseman here in Vancouver named Carson Soucy who used to be really good at breaking up the rush and might not be able to get in the lineup when they come out of the Four Nations break. Maybe Vancouver can interest you in one of those.
Yeah, we'll see. But that is fascinating to look at. Like, you got to look at the micro stats if you have them available. And certain goalies, like you've talked lots, you've educated a lot of people about environment matters. And every goalie you've talked about, every goalie has a weakness. It doesn't. Connor Halley had a weakness. Colorado was able to exploit it. It does. So can your team play to the way that's going to limit that weakness, right? And so Skinner's improved his weakness, which was off the rush. Great. He's not elite at it by any stretch of the imagination, but he showed improvement as a young goalie. So that's a good sign. Unfortunately for Edmonton, last year, they're actually they got better under Knobloch of reducing high danger chances off the rush, but now they've crept back up again. And that Makar one is another prime example. When you go watch the goal, it's all McKinnon rushing right up the left side of the boards, straight across. Makar comes in and he has a lane and he rips it right from the inside the circle, inside the dot. Like, that's a pretty high danger scoring chance. At least I think it is. You can let me know if that one qualifies. I would assume it would. Kev, as always, buddy, great stuff. Enjoy the Four Nations, and we'll have some games to break down and discuss next Monday.
Yeah, no, looking forward to this. I'll ask you, were you looking forward to it?
Yeah, buddy. I love it. Yeah.
I was a little maybe getting old, too much gray hair, getting a little skeptical on these things and mid-season tournament and yeah.
No, I don't like the timing of it. I will agree with you that I'd rather them go back to the Canada Cup in September. Hopefully they do that the next time.
But I was talking with Jimmy Howard, trying to get a feel for what that's like. I was mentioning that, and the excitement in his voice to see best on best, and he coaches his young sons, and the excitement in the car as he drove them as we were having this conversation, it got me hyped. So I can't wait.
Yeah, no, I'm annoyed because I have a hockey practice on Wednesday night, so I'll be recording it. So nice.
I'll be catching up on my sleep after I finish this project.
Yeah. Okay, buddy. Thanks, Kev.
All the best.
That's Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine, NHL.com. Quick break. We'll return to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Is back. And Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today.
Where
Bonus
do you
terms
come
and
out on
conditions
John
apply.
Gibson?
Noodle, 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 noodle.
So if your guys are going to compare Vancouver, then Carson Soucy, who used to be really good at breaking up the rush, might not be able to get in the lineup when they come out and get one of those.
Noodle, 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 noodle. Noodle, 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 noodle. Throw a load down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open.
It's the season for love, and you're about to fall hard for the vehicle of your dreams. Presenting the outstanding 2025 XC90 from Volvo Cars Edmonton. Right now, you can lease your 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $4,600. Or finance a 2025 XC60 from 1.49% and save $1,500. All while being deeply infatuated by the newly upgraded, highly attractive body and wheel design. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101 Street Southwest.
How do you beat those winter blues? How about a double shot of classic rock? River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents Helix and Sweet. February 28th, live in the venue. Helix and Sweet. Get your tickets now at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Familiar flavors meet a refreshing new twist at the Varsity. Nestled in White Mud Crossing, the Varsity boasts a delicious menu filled with your favorites, like endless forever fries with every burger, crafted with a unique new touch. Enjoy the welcoming atmosphere you know and love. Now with fresh, locally sourced ingredients and exciting new choices. And the best part is, your wallet will be happy too. Order online at varsityburgers.ca or visit the Varsity today and discover how something new can feel oh so wonderfully familiar.
Looking at the Alberta weather forecast, wild, unpredictable, brutally tough.
When the weather turns tough, Titan Supply doesn't back down. Titan Supply has been protecting workers from conditions like this for 50 years. We stand tall with you against the elements with the industry's best rigging, hauling, and lifting products to get you home safe. Tire chains, wire rope, round slings, chain slings, and a whole lot more. Titan Supply in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary. Online at titansupply.ca. Lift, dig, haul.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, 60-cent wings. Plus, you can play Oilers score and win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118th.
The Jason Gregor Show. The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We roll through a busy Monday afternoon. Great answer as always from Kevin Woodley when it comes to goaltending. Because you can look at, hey, a guy has a same percentage of goals against on one team. It's almost irrelevant to your team unless they play a similar style or, you know, are the strengths of what your defense is similar to that strengths. Because if you have a goalie who's terrible off the rush but really good down low, but you're a team that gives a ton up off the rush but not much down low, well, that's not necessarily going to be a great fit for you. So, you look at a lot of things and, Woodley broke down some of the numbers and where the Oilers are, what they're getting from their goaltenders and in areas that are better than Gibson. Great. Obviously, there's some other areas that maybe not so much. And the other thing is, like the first month of the season, the numbers are so bad. Like even in Calvin Pickard's game, that it really it drops his save percentage from 9.9 to 9.1. Like that's a big gap because of one game. So is it good to include that one game when it was the whole team was terrible, second game of the season? Because if you look from October 13th, he's 909. You're like, oh, that's pretty good. From October 11th, he's 901. So, and to me, analysis is always evolving and changing as the season goes. And the longer, even if a guy has a great October and that kind of fluffs up your numbers and you've been brutal ever since. Well, that's going to, I think, sometimes give you a wrong impression of what direction your team is going. I'd rather have it. And lately, up until Friday, the 2 goals against the Avs, Stuart Skinner had really good stretch of 3 months play. Really good. Like 4th and 5th best in the NHL in save percentage of goals against average. Well above John Gibson. So that's why, to me, Gibson isn't the answer. I don't know if there is one, to be honest, but I don't think it's John Gibson. Just like the one big need the Oilers have for me is they need some top 6 wingers who can score, because that has been a season-long issue and it hasn't really changed. When Corey Perry, who's played mainly on your 4th line, has 12 goals, got more than any of the guys who have played regularly in your top 6, it's great for Corey Perry, but I don't think anybody believes come playoff time, speed, everything else, that Corey Perry should be a regular in your top 6. I just don't think it's going to help you. We all know the game gets faster and more intense. Perry can play on my team all day long in the right role. So that's why top 6 winger who can score for me, probably the biggest issue for the Oilers heading into the trade deadline. And they got some cap space if they want to address it. On behalf of Connor Halley and Declan Cougar running things online at Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, I'm Jason Gregor. Have yourselves a lovely one Monday. Remember, click your lights on, please. Auto doesn't always mean they're on, just so you know. And we're talking your rear lights. Make everybody get home safe and sound. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. And they are hiring. If you're looking for a great job with a great company, starting bonus to the right candidate, strong benefits, RSP matching, and more, apply today at legacyheating.ca. Good night.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Good news for Canada at the upcoming Four Nation face-off, as Sidney Crosby says he's good to go for the event. Crosby worked at center on the line with Mark Stone and Nathan McKinnon earlier today at practice. Connor McDavid leading the top line with Sam Reiner and Mitch Marner. Look at the tournament going on Wednesday, 6 o'clock, when they take on the Swedes. In the NBA, looks like Luka Doncic will make his debut for the LA Lakers tonight when they take on the Utah Jazz. Tip-off 8:30. A couple games going on right now in the second quarter. Timberwolves trail the Cavaliers 46-27. The Hawks up on the Magic 42-34. And the Spurs and Wizards tied at 48 apiece. Just getting going. Miami Heat lead the Celtics 13-7. Later on this evening, the Bucks host the Warriors, Pelicans, and OKC. Mavs up against the Kings, and the Trailblazers in Denver to take on the Nuggets. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio all night, and then tomorrow morning, live local coverage resumes with the Kevin Carrier Show and Brandon Douglas. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.